And we're live. So, hello, welcome back. This is now episode 8, I think, of our Wyld Hunt arc. My name is William, and I'm joined, as usual, by Ollie, Scott, and Rob.
Hello.
And we're running a bit late, so we're going to kick this off with the usual shit and read beliefs.
Do me last.
Do your last. Okay. Arkin, go first.
Belief 1. May everything I do exalt my name and Allah's. Belief 2. Panther was a good soldier and a good man, and I can feel nothing but pity for him. I will help him any way I can. I will wait for him to find me in the plaza while the others are asleep, and find out what his plans are. Belief 3. I will rouse the Uthurka to action however I must. They will continue to suffer until they give the god the praise he rightly deserves, and beg him to heal them of their pain.
And you were saying before the session that you're not sure if you might switch that one out.
I might switch that one out.
Okay. Cool. You'll have to excuse my voice today. I'm a bit under the weather still, so I'll try to remember to mute myself whenever I cough, but apologies if I forget to do that. All right, Viper.
Hello. I was looking at the wrong fucking person. A second, now I have my beliefs up. I was looking at Eel.
I'm not an eel, I'm a snake.
Same thing basically. Belief 1, the realm stands above all else. Belief 2, the monk's disappearance has caused all the havoc in this town. Eel has a plan to find the monk we came to rescue, and I shall aid her with my own skills. Belief 3, the trial for Panther is on its way. I shall convince the people of his crimes and challenge him to honourable combat.
Cool. Yeah, and we already discussed how getting to that third belief is probably quite unlikely this session, just because there's a lot else going on and the trial won't be for a couple days. But as long as you're okay with that.
No, sure.
Cool. And Rob?
Hello, yes, I'm just putting the finishing touches to my first belief, which I'm currently still thinking of how to word. So my second belief currently is that Arkan's plan to involve the Northern was sound, but we must now find a different steward for the ever-flowing routes. With Arkan's help, I will seek the monk that I plan to rescue and reinstate him as warden of the local god. My belief number 3 is the hunt's greatest weapons are swiftness and subterfuge, and it would serve us all well to remember that. And I'm currently rewording my first belief because Arkan has convinced me that I must take more decisive action, and that I shall. And basically, I'm planning to go to Noshua, and instead of trying to go around the hunt, I'm going to tell the hunt that we're going to go and investigate this, regardless of what they are actually going to tell.
Oh. Okay.
Fair enough.
So rather than waiting for orders, I'm going to tell them that we're going to go and investigate it.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right. Let me just get things ready for screen sharing. And then we can begin. Let's see.
Oop-a-doop-a-doop.
All right. No, that didn't work. There we go. All right. Screen sharing. So. Oh, the recap. Who wants to do the recap? Briefly.
Um,
I should have asked that whilst I was setting up the screen share.
so last session, we began with, I think Viper was. Oh no, I remember what happened at the start of last session. So last session we began with Viper asking around the town about where Panther was, and she met the man who was allowing Panther to stay at his house, and then shouted at him for a very long time, very loudly and very aggressively, because he wouldn't let her go to his house and murder his guest. We
You're
then had
phrasing it in such a poor light.
that is exactly what you said.
That is exactly how it happens.
Let me go to your house and kill this person.
To be fair, the person
You
is
never explained
the-
why.
No,
either.
to be fair, the person in realm law is like, an illegal existence. So that's a thing.
As far as I remember, you never actually said, like,
I did like
this
I
is
remember.
what he is.
You called him a monster and a murder, and he said he will kill all of you in your sleep.
No,
He is
I
a demon like
You-
nothing
you-
else.
you used a lot of, like,
But, like,
euphemisms, let's say.
so-
but
so
you
any
never
realm
explicitly
person-
said.
Any realm person might
Yeah.
have understood you, but
Yeah.
like this guy didn't.
No, I explained to him that he stole something. He stole that sword which
Ah.
belonged to me.
That's
Yeah, you said he
He
was,
was a
thief.
killer.
yeah.
He'd murdered people. It wasn't
That-
necessarily
he
true.
hasn't. He
lie.
hasn't. That's definitely a lie.
Technically,
I feel like we don't need to defend Viper's actions
Yeah.
because
Anyway, what happened.
what happened. Everyone had a big meeting in the street, and we all agreed that no one would be invading the man's house and murdering his guests.
But the guards were suspicious of you nonetheless.
And honestly, who can blame them?
Viper. I can't remember the order things happened in. Viper also went off to talk to this guy's subordinate and convince the subordinate that he might look really good if his boss's house guest was arrested, because like it shows him as being proactive. There we are.
Yeah.
So whether or not this works out for this guy's political career, we don't actually care. So, I had a conversation with Eel, in which I convinced Eel that her attitude towards her own plans and her own intent, like the things she wanted to do and achieve in life, were kind of backwards, and I made her agree to actually do things she wants to do in life, which I feel like I've been a good motivational coach here.
And then you all went to bed.
And then we all went to bed, except
Yeah.
Arkan,
Except Duncan, yeah.
who is currently on his. I think this is somewhere towards 50 hours of being awake.
Probably encroaching on that, yeah.
Yeah.
roll to see if he collapses immediately.
Well, I will make you roll to see if he can collapse immediately, but I think I will cumulatively add on that previous test that was made to see if you get a penalty for this conversation, which may or may not matter, and you may go to bed immediately afterwards. But
I feel like in order to not just farm free fort tests,
that's true. Yeah.
Make me roll a fort test if I actually make another roll.
Yes. Yeah. So if this conversation with Panther involves a test, then we'll do a fort test first.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you and nobody else knows that you're gonna do this yet.
Nope.
Yeah. You've managed to keep it a secret, despite you've kept it a secret from your allies, but the whole town knows.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think enough of the people who know about this don't speak their language. It'll
Yes.
probably come up in court.
Maybe, yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So what does Arkan sneaking out look like, and sort of how conspicuous do you make yourself once you're in the plaza?
oh, Arkan is like sitting in the middle of the plaza, right? It's
Mm.
night. He knows Eel and Viper have gone to bed. Like, or rather, he suspects they have because they both looked incredibly tired. And yeah, I think he goes out to like sit in the center of the plaza, and I think he's maybe like plaiting like threads of grass or something, just like waiting, like chatting to random people who like walk past.
Hmm.
Like I
Seems
imagine,
quite quiet.
yeah.
And I think you're waiting for. Well, I suppose you're waiting until he shows up, right?
I think I'm waiting. Like I'm not gonna wait all night.
Yeah.
But like I think I'm waiting. I'm planning to wait several hours.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm counting until like I don't see anyone on the streets at all, and
Yeah.
then I'll
Yeah.
wait like another maybe 2 hours.
Yeah. So I think it gets to it's coming up on midnight, and that's when people are starting to clear away, and especially people start to clear away because I think a tropical storm comes through and it starts raining quite heavily in the night. The streets get like semi flooded. Well, flooded is maybe too extreme, but like a good kind
Yeah.
of centimeter of water builds up. It's like a bit sloshy, a bit muddy, but then it passes sort of just as quickly as it comes. So you're sitting in the rain or under some shelter.
I think there's like a colonnade. Like Argan was sat in the open and then like moves to a colonnade. Like there were some people drinking and he like moves in next to them
Yeah,
and they like hang around for a while and then leave.
yeah, and I think the rain lasts about 15 or 20 minutes and then stops. And then there's about 40 minutes of just like nobody around at all, for except for like animals and stuff. And you can hear the like sound of the jungle in distance outside of the town. And then you have sort of tuned into the sounds around you long enough to tell there's somebody coming towards the plaza. They're not being super stealthy. You can hear their footsteps, their wet footsteps coming closer. And they seem to be the only person aside from you around now. And yeah, turning to look who it is as they come into the plaza proper. You see a tall, faintly familiar figure, that of Panther, whom has quite short cropped hair, like a military cut, and dark actually kind of like a mid-tone brownish colored skin, though in the darkness of this evening, I think there's maybe only one or two lights around Mostly, they're like between houses that lead to outhouses and stuff, so people who get up in the night can find their way to the toilet. There's no street lights or anything per se. So he looks like quite a tall, imposing, dark figure initially, but steps into the light near where you're sitting, and pulls a cowl. How do you pronounce that? Cowl or cowl?
Cowl.
Cowl. Pulls a cowl
Simon Cowell.
down off of his head, and stands on the threshold of this little shelter that you're now sitting in. Stands there and looks at you very intently, but doesn't say anything initially.
Panther, I'd hoped you'd come. I wasn't sure if you'd heard. Sit down.
He takes a step forwards and then halts, balancing on the ball of his foot for a moment, and kind of leans his head in a bit. And kind of looks shifty eyes left and right.
Don't. I'm alone here. If we'd wanted to... The hunt has its ways of doing things. That trial that you've heard of, no doubt. That's the closest we'll come to pursuing you, for now. We need to keep this town... We need to stay on its good side.
Mm. He nods and goes to sit on the bench opposite you and says, I had a feeling this wasn't really a trap, but you understand I have to be cautious about everything nowadays.
How are you... How are you taking it?
One day at a time, I suppose. 1 hour at a time, perhaps. A shock, to be sure, and I'm sure that Viper has given you her rendition.
Not many details. You betrayed her. You took her sword. That flashy display that we saw from afar. I suppose that was you.
He nods slowly. Says, and he's like looking at his hand, not really looking at you, and kind of flexing it a bit, and says, it's funny, in some way I feel like I finally understand what all the scriptures were talking about at home, about how it feels to become chosen. Just chosen by the wrong person, I suppose.
Back home in my lands, we had stories about the Chosen. I suppose now, from Having learnt about the stories of the realm, these were... Well, we didn't make much distinction between different types of the Exalted.
Hmm.
Ignorance, you'd call it, but
I have no doubt that Viper and Eel, and probably the rest of the cadre, if they knew we were having this conversation, would want you dead as much as they probably want me dead. So I'll try and keep this brief for your own sake.
I do not think that Eel would react that way. She understands that... I think she looks upon the hunt against you as a duty. I haven't spoken to the men, but I would be angry with them if they did not understand me wishing to speak with you.
No doubt. At least some of them think I'm a traitor. Arkan, please humor me. Please hear out my explanation for the events that transpired in those woods.
Say whatever you
If
will.
there's to be a trial, I want at least somebody to know the truth.
I will listen, but tell me, Panther, why have you stayed? Why did you come back to this town and not simply disappear into the forest? Someone with... Well, I've never lived in a country like this, but... And I'm not as terrifying as you are, but I could certainly survive, lose myself, reappear somewhere else, miles away, years later, maybe.
He thinks for a moment, then shakes his head and says, if you really want to know, how about we make a bit of a deal here? Promise me that if in that trial Viper would tell the story differently from what I'm about to tell you, that you will call her out. And I will tell you my plan for this town.
I'll listen.
Can you promise, though?
Oh. Of course. I'm sorry, I forgot I hadn't yet agreed, but... My whole heart is behind... Well... If we are to hunt you, it must be on the correct terms. Those being... Well, I've never done this before. The only way I can hunt you is this way. Having talked to you. Letting both of us know what is at stake. And coming to it with as much sorrow as we do violence in our hearts. I'm glad that you have not asked me to leave aside the hunt.
He nods and says, I will not pretend to know your morals.
Then I won't ask you to flee this town because, well, you said you have plans. I wouldn't ask you to put aside whatever your ambitions are either.
He nods and says, I plan on wearing white to that trial, so that if I will die, I will be in my mourning clothes, and if it leads, for whatever reason, to the death of one of you, I will mourn the loss of one of my gurus instead. Now hear what I have to say. In that forest, when you sent me with Viper, we found the Catholic camp, that cave. I'm sure you've seen it by now. One of Viper's family was there. I forget who exactly, but they seemed to know each other. They didn't trust my being there with her. They didn't believe our story. And their leader, he posed an ultimatum to Viper in order to prove her loyalty to her house, or rather for either of us to prove our loyalty to the other. He took Viper's sword and then had us fight in a flash to try and kill the other. It was vicious. A horrible experience I wish not to repeat. And it was in that moment that I believe I had a chance to kill Viper. I saw the moment I could have taken her life. And in what I thought would be a moment of doubt that got me killed instead, I believe it was that moment of mercy that led to the situation that we have at hand now. Whether rightly or wrongly, I think that there is meaning in what happened. I have to. Else I would just kill myself. Clearly, the sun chose me for something. So I fled. I could have killed Viper. I probably could have killed them all, but I didn't.
If you escape this place and live for years out in the world, there is a question that I asked myself when I awoke to the power in my blood, that I asked myself for years until last year when I met a god and he answered it for me. If you ever find an answer to that question, find a way to tell me. I will reward you with any way I can, or simply think of it as a sign of returning friendship, a token of two mortals living in the world together.
He nods
Sorry.
and says,
Just
in this life or the next.
if you find out if it really is fate, or if it is against fate, the way that people are chosen, is it written at the start of the world, or is it something that is outside of that? Well, that's a question I still feel I don't have quite answered.
He shakes his head as well and says, my knowledge of the scriptures is lacking.
Not the scriptures. You may live long in this world, and if my life is any judge, then meeting something that might be able to answer that question isn't out of the question itself. If you get an answer, tell me. If you don't, well, you're as likely to die before ever finding one as I am.
He gives you a curious frown and says, what did this god say to you?
He said that my fate was to live and die as a slave, and that my leaving this fate has made me uninteresting to the gods. That I've betrayed a lot in some way by moving against his... that he doesn't... that none of this was his plan for me, and that working for the realm and doing my best to find a way to... I will prove this god wrong. It will take me time, but I will win attention of a lot.
He sighs and says, in the realm there is this idea of one's place in the world being predetermined by birth and rank, class, caste, etc. The scriptures say that you do well in this life and you'll do better in the next, and so forth. Exaltation by the dragons is meant to mean the pinnacle of that cycle.
But in my case, my life was that of an outsider. In your realm terms, less than a slave. In fact, I was a slave as well. Less than even a slave in the realm. I was a galley slave, and this was the life chosen for me, the one expected by the gods. And Panther, it is good to share these words with you. I wish that we had more time. Well, in some ways, until this happened, I would not have spoken to you as an equal. You were one of my men. I expected to send you to your death one day.
He nods and says, if we both make it through this alive, maybe one day we'll share a drink in the future and discuss the finer points of Dharma. But
I will have had to leave the hunt long behind. There'll be no more casual chats after this. I promise you
perhaps
that.
not.
Now, tell me, what are your plans for this town?
He looks at you again and says, you promise? If Viper lies in that court, you'll call her out.
I promised you once. I'll promise you again. If anything that I hear from her contradicts the truth that you've told me, then
He nods.
I'll make sure that the court knows.
He nods and says, well, actually, here's a question. Are you telling the truth?
Oh no, Viper, sorry, Arcan believes this guy, right?
Okay, cool. Yeah, you're not lying to him then.
Like he could have like we know as players that this happened, but
Yeah.
if he told me some lies, I would be like, yes, I will
Okay,
tell.
yeah.
I will tell the truth in court. I trust you.
Yeah. Well, as Jen pointed out, he's kind of hyping himself up as having the moral ground here.
Yeah, well, you know.
But yeah. Anyway, he nods and takes you at your word on that and says, Arkin, I think this town is in danger. It's been in danger, as we both know, for some time now. I don't know the full details of what exactly is happening, but I sense that one way or the other, something is going to change the lives of these people, even more so than it already has. I felt an obligation to stay. Because I think that one way or another, these people need hope. And once there was a time when the chosen of the sun were the idol of such a symbol. I wonder whether I can find some redemption in that.
These people need the protection of their god. And the blessings of all the gods they might pray to.
He shakes his head and says, Arkan, that god is sick.
Then help us cure him.
I am. In my own way. I don't think it can be cured in the way that you're talking about, though. I think it is a festering wound that needs to be amputated. You're talking about treating it.
The way you're talking reminds me of how Viper talks about you.
Maybe there's something about the touch that makes everyone an ideologue. He shrugs and stands up, looking like he's about to say a final thing.
Yeah, I don't think of anything else to go for here.
Okay.
I can't really.
I mean, you could try and dissuade him.
I don't want to dissuade him from helping the town, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He shrugs.
Um,
Okay.
no.
Oh, okay. So you do want to say
This-
something?
This town's god is what separates them from the people of all the other nations of Earth. If the god dies, this town dies with it. You must recognize that. Working with Masata, working for Masata to heal him as far as we can is the only way.
He Yeah, I think at this point he stands up and shakes his head and says Arkan, gods can be replaced. And he starts to walk away.
I'm gonna draw my sword
Okay.
and I'm gonna call after him. I'm gonna say, Viper. Sorry, no, Panther. Panther. If you try and replace this god, then I swear to you, the reason that this town does not remain will not be because of Masata's leaving. It will be because I raise it to the ground despite you. Do not defy the gods and put yourself in their place. That is the one part of the natural order, the order of the world, that we should not seek to trouble.
He
Do you understand my orders, Shikari?
Okay, what's your intent?
Yeah, I want to make it I want to make him really, really clear that he shouldn't set himself that killing Masata will not get him what he wants, right? That replacing Masata is not is too dangerous to do, maybe.
Okay, it sounds like you're intimidating him into that.
Yeah, I pretty much am.
Do you have intimidation?
No.
Do you have interrogation?
No.
Okay. Well,
I'm partway through learning rhetoric, and I have ugly truth, but
okay.
it really wasn't either of those.
No.
It was very much like
I think with a thorough explanation of like why it would all go to shit.
yeah.
Would be ugly truth, but you didn't go angle for that. Yeah.
No.
Okay, so intimidation.
Man, I've got so many skills just like open.
You'll learn these social skills eventually.
No, I won't, because I'm rolling hard. I'm just scooping my will up further and further.
You're putting will up, aren't you? Yeah. All right, let's see.
What will does he have?
It's probably kind of high, because I've angled him as being more social than anything.
Well, fuck.
Is intimidation will, or is it perception?
Intimidation as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it's gonna be ob 5.
Ugh. Okay.
Plus, let's do a fort test first. You have a colon.
I do. But what's the obstacle on the fort test?
What was it last time? It was 3. Last
3.
time, right?
I think it might have been 3. Was it 3 before or after I added my armor?
No,
are
it
you
was
looking at-
2. It was base ob
It was
2, and then you
2.
added armor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Are you still wearing armor?
I'm walking around with this armor to boost my fort test obstacles. up.
Okay, so it's ob 4.
Okay, that's not high
And
enough yet.
Failure will give you a superficial wound.
Okay.
You have a colon.
I would like to use my colon.
You also have fate.
I'm really tired.
Okay.
I'm disappointed that wasn't challenging. I should have made it harder for
Yeah.
myself somehow.
Oh, all right. Take that superficial wound. Well,
Okay.
this will test's gonna be challenging.
Yeah. So this is what was base ob 5, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, we know this is gonna fail, but let's just have a look anyway. Unless you're spending like tons of fate and persona on this.
No. If it had been slightly easier, then I might have done.
I suppose. Okay, let's. Okay. Well,
Like, I mean, look at that, right?
yeah. It should have been ob 11, but yeah.
That's a really nice ob 12 test.
Mhm. I'll mark that challenging.
Yep, that
Intimidation.
challenging
Yeah,
will
it should have been
test.
intimidation, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And mark that test, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
Oh no, you mark it on will.
I mark it on will. Yeah.
Not intimidation.
Oh,
yeah.
I rolled it. I put it on the wrong thing, right? I
Right.
only just realized what you meant because I've got 2 that I just added, which are empty.
Okay, yeah. But because you're taking the will test instead of the beginner's luck test.
Yeah.
Okay. So I forgot to kind of mention failure here, but I suppose failure is kind of obvious. It instills him even more to do the opposite. Like he's convinced that now that this is the only way to do it. It's like he was kind of maybe umming and ahhing about it before, but now he's like, no, I have to do this.
It's the only
Um,
way.
Yeah, so I think in response to what you're saying, he had stopped whilst you drew your sword on him and stuff, and then in response, he just keeps walking away and doesn't say anything.
I think Arcan suddenly feels very tired.
Yeah.
I think emotionally. And then his lack of sleep just catches up to him in one go, and he just I think he spends the rest of the night just sat out in the open here,
Mhm.
and sleeping fitfully.
So you do go to sleep then?
I think he's not intending to. He sits there and it's when you're really agitated about something, you're talking through it in your head, and he doesn't
Right.
realize he falls asleep several times during the night, but he gets I think he gets some sleep,
Okay.
but wakes up.
So are you intending to keep trying to push for this difficult?
I would like a higher.
Just one more
wound.
day and you'll get it. In that
But
case,
there's actually no reason to, right?
Yeah,
Narratively speaking.
yeah, maybe not.
And so I'm not going to. I think this is him,
Well, I
he
suppose
wakes up feeling miserable the next day, but it's not. It's no longer he's keeping going for 3 days in a row to prove a point or get lots of things done.
I suppose the thing to mention is that I think it takes 4 hours of sleep without a test to recover a superficial wound.
Yeah, I mean, I think the he has enough sleep to clear the wound, or I'll keep the wound the next day. No, whichever is more narratively appropriate.
Yeah.
But like, I think this is more like it makes sense for him to feel tired, right? More than it needs to be like. I don't care whether there's an obstacle penalty here, right? I'm not keeping going with stay awake for tests.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're ceding to to stop the cumulativeness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. An interesting scene, I think. You know sort of what Panther's about now, at least. So there's that. So the next day comes around, and you were woken up kind of at the break of dawn, Arkan, by like some woman with a broom, like trying to get you to clear away from her market stall.
He's like, "Damn drunks, get back to you drunken foreigner! Don't know where you belong. I've got a business to run here."
Yeah. The rest of you wake up in the tavern. And Eel, I think I want to cut to Eel and sort of see what your morning thoughts are, because we ended last time with you kind of saying, "I'm gonna sleep on this." So what does Eel wake up to resolve or resolutely do?
I think Eel's waking thought is just she sits like not quite bolt upright, but it's that sort of like slow progression from laying down to sitting up in just one fluid motion. And it's just her thought to herself is, I'm going to do something today. And as she sort of like swings out of bed, dresses, begins the katas of her morning martial arts practice.
Morning rituals.
Yeah. It's that thing in the back of the head that it's just constantly, I'm going to do something. Going to do something. I'm going to do something. And she isn't really quite sure what it is that she's going to do yet. Until I think she looks out of the window, and the window sort of overlooks the street where she remembers having the conversation about going to talk to, sending the Shikari to go and talk to Noshua, and she's like, that's what I'm going to do. And I think disregarding, like, normally she would go around, like, wake everybody else up. I think she just leaves and goes straight to Noshua's.
Okay. I guess given that Arkan is already outside, there's potential here for him to get in on this scene if you want to change the belief.
You probably see Arkan in the town square. I don't care to change my third belief to be about talking to Noshua.
Or about talking to Eel.
Well, like the thing was, like, if Eel wants to be the leader, she has to come and fight me for it, right?
That's true,
so this is clearly her, like, just being like, no, I'm just gonna proactively go and do things. I don't need to be in charge. But yeah, like
the question is, do you want
you probably like see him like in the town square, like asleep, or like being currently
just being chivied out by a woman with a broom.
Yeah.
Get out.
Get out of here, go on. It's not actually a woman, it's just like Michael Palin in a dress.
Yes, Michael Palin, yeah.
Yeah, I think seeing that Ila's just sort of like, good morning, Arkan.
Il, why are you here?
This is a communal street, is it not?
I need some food.
Ordinarily, I would ask what it is that you've been up to be out in the streets late at night, but somehow I feel like I would not get the answer I want anyway.
I was looking for Panther or something.
If you say so.
Where are you going?
Simply put, I'm going to go and visit Noshua.
Good idea.
I'm glad you agree.
I'm assuming Noshua's house is closer than the inn.
No, I think from the plaza, the inn is closer than
Oh,
Noshua's
shit. Okay, I'm gonna go to the inn and eat food.
house. Okay. Noshua's house was up in the slightly richer area. if you
Yeah.
recall. Okay. So Eel goes off on her own. Or do you bring a... No, you said you left the...
No,
inn,
I'm just leaving
yeah,
without
yeah.
waking anybody.
Cool. All right. Shit, I have to remember Noshua's accent. He had a really fun accent.
Quickly, bring up the VOD and see
Yeah.
see what you can remember.
Oh, I sort of.
Is it worth circling Noshua again?
What will it determine?
He didn't used to be in the secret Kathak plot, but the secret Kathak plot has run out of Kathaks, and so he's been like promoted emergency.
More, I suppose he. When you first met him, he did kind of say something along the lines of, "Make sure you send messages only when absolutely necessary, and like, don't bother me too much."
Yeah, okay.
So
So I guess this determines his disposition when I inevitably roll him out of bed.
yeah, I think it will be a dispositioning determining role more than anything.
And we
Sure.
literally sent a message via him yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Though I think, like the fort test, let's leave it until like to see if there's a social test or not, because otherwise it won't matter. Because the disposition affects social obs.
No, I feel like this one you want to do in advance because it affects the positioning of the scene.
Yeah, because if he's pissed off to start with, there's definitely going to be a test to convince him. But if he's less pissed off, I might be able to talk him around.
Yeah, so like maybe it doesn't give the plus obstacle, and it's just like this is whether he is like expecting to continue sending messages or whether he thinks he's done his job, and it's like, right, why are you still here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just double check your beliefs to see if that sort of lines up. So
I can kind of picture his accent in my head now, but I can't remember. Like, I don't know what the name for it is, so I can't help
I
you.
think it was slightly Irish, but yeah.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, I agree.
Arkan has convinced me that I must take more decisive action. I will visit Catholic Noshua and have him inform the hunt of our intent to seek out the source of this sickness. Okay, yeah. So I suppose if you fail this roll, it's not like you don't know where he is. It's like he's not immediately willing to help you out again, and you'll have to use some other means. Okay. Do we remember the ob for Noshua? Did anybody write?
It will be in Squat's character sheet.
It should be, but it's
What,
not.
the description for
Oh
Noshua?
no, it's in your character sheet, but you
Oh, it's
didn't
in
really
mine.
have-
Wait, the description for Noshua?
Yeah, Noshua is in Rob's circles.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you circled him up, I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
I
you did.
circled him. Okay.
Um,
So I've circled him before then.
yeah.
This
We
should
should.
be
We
That
should,
is-
No way my issue.
we should try to get into the habit of writing down the ob when we add circles to our character sheets. But
Did we not for this one? Because
We did
I
not.
thought I did write down all of the.
if you look on information on your character sheet for
Sheet.
circles, it says Catholic Noshua, and that's it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
This happened with Ghazal as well. I forgot to write down the ob for Ghazal.
It's because we have so many Shikari, and we're like every second roll is a Shikari at the moment. So
Yeah,
those we
let
don't
me
write
do
down.
Control F for Noshua because I did write it down when. Yeah. Okay. Ob 5.
Okay.
Whoa. Hey, you did a good
Uh,
job last time.
Does
So,
this get
say that.
easier because I already know him?
looking at this test, you actually failed last time.
Oh.
Well,
Did I?
What was the failure
if you look at my
consequence? I
screen-
can't remember.
think-
No, I
failure
didn't because I
consequence.
burned a fate on it.
Oh yeah, you found a fate. Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you didn't exceed the ob.
I did
so
not
there's
exceed the
no-
ob. I just
yeah.
met the ob.
Okay, so write ob 5 for future reference.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so you succeeded it last time, but then didn't exceed, so there's no +1. You can use her reputations against her or your own. Yeah, I think so. You rolled. Oh, I've lost it now. Damn. Okay. Well, you rolled an amount of dice last time. But that might have changed. I'm not sure if your circles is.
I think my circles has gone up.
Let's just recalculate how many dice you're rolling, but the ob will be 5.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I get my Wild Hunt affiliation because he's a Wild Hunt contact.
Yes. He's not a immaculate, so you don't get to use
No,
that.
don't get the immaculate one.
But I think let's see. Not sure. Oh, you had a bunch of help last time.
I had a bunch of help last time. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, since it pertains, since the kind of origin of this belief relating to your background with the lunar and so on, that your reputation can come into this here.
Okay.
So that's +3 dice against.
Okay.
And then. Oh, just a moment.
Right, real quick.
Wow. So, Ollie.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, yeah, so your circles is 3, you're getting +3 dice from affiliations and reputations. Yeah, I think in this instance we probably can't pull on Noshua's own reputations.
No, I don't see how that would be relevant.
Because it would have to be like a reputation about him being really good at sending messages, which I don't think.
Or a reputation for having a mild manner or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Did we find out the water was poisoned here? We did, and we've
did.
never followed
Yeah,
it up.
You've not followed.
Fuck. Okay, so like, dudes, the water is poisoned a bit.
No,
I mean, it's all linked.
we told him that.
No, but we've not specific
Yeah.
I guess
It was
we've
gonna
not
be
specifically linked it
something-
together.
Yeah.
I think about this time, like Arkan is remembering this because he's remembering Noshua and was like, "What did we talk about with Noshua?" And oh no, he wasn't there for that conversation. Well, I guess he got filled in about the water being poisoned later.
Yeah, because I told you
yeah.
not to drink the water.
Yeah,
You were both. I remember seeing where you were both like, the water's fine, right? Because you're both wood aspects.
Yeah. So I think I'm now putting it 2 and 2 together and being like, shit, maybe the water caused the plague.
Oh, Eel is already there.
I'm back.
So are you saying you want to like dash over and help with this circles test?
No, I'm saying I'm jumping up and down and shouting at everyone not to drink the water.
Okay.
And then sitting down again and feeling like quite ill. And then continuing my breakfast and ignoring everyone staring at me like a madman.
Okay.
Um,
All right. So Rob, you've got 6 dice.
Yeah, you
against
literally just
five.
stood up in a tavern and just said, "Don't drink the water." Okay.
Silent Green is people. Right. Yeah. So 6 dice against Rob 5. Do you want to spend any persona or?
No, I'm good.
All right.
I can't click on my character sheet. Why can't I click on my character sheet? There we go. Yeah, I'm not gonna spend any Arthur, and it's Ob 5. Skadoosh.
All right.
Okay, that's
No 6s. Do you
not
want
good.
to attempt to stunt.
You know what? I'm cool with him being pissed off.
All right. All right. Mark that difficult circles test.
Oops, that's too difficult.
Okay. So yeah, you knock on his door or like go straight into his house?
I mean, it's like there's a knock on the door, and then when he doesn't answer in about 3 seconds, it's bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
Because I am on a fucking mission.
Yeah. He you hear a voice, you hear some like stumbling and like some books fall off a shelf or something.
Yeah.
And then you hear some like thundering upstairs and then like creaking of floorboards, and then you hear him call and say we're not open yet.
You are to me.
He's like yelling in
oh, wait, I can't understand him if he says
no. He's yelling in High Realm because that's like his native language.
Oh, right,
and
okay.
He's just yelling at the window. He's like, "Go away! We're not open yet."
Hunt business, Noshua. Open this door.
At this ungodly hour.
The sun has been above the horizon for a solid hour at this point.
He's a sorcerer.
The anathema do not wait at your convenience. Open this.
He like you hear some rustling, and then like his head pops out of a slatted window above your head, like above the front door, which is his bedroom. And he like looks down at you, bleary-eyed and kind of scowling, and says, "What?
We have need of another message.
I sent one yesterday."
I am aware. This is important.
So important that you couldn't have said it yesterday?
I'm just like there's a moment where Eel is just like, "Don't talk to me about yesterday." She looks back up and just says, "It was not clear until this morning exactly what the course of action we needed to take was. Now the hunt must be informed."
He like goes away from the window for a second. And then you hear him like come downstairs, and then he opens the door in front of you, and he has in his hand a small strip of vellum that he has written on it. That he's written on, and he says quite loudly, starts like reciting the message that you sent yesterday.
Yeah.
In front of you, says like, "Look, according to what you said yesterday, or had your people told me to send yesterday, you had 2 messages, one for the Wyld Hunt, one for the 47th Legion, God knows why, telling about all sorts of things to do with gods and betrayals, and he just like looks at you.
And now there is more.
He like turns around and like begrudgingly ushers you into the house, and then pulls out another strip of vellum and says, "All right, write your message on this, and I'll make some tea."
Okay.
Can you write?
I can write. I am fucking
Okay.
amazing at writing. Have you
All right,
seen how good I am at writing? I have a B2 in composition.
Okay,
I can write fucking
let's-
poetry.
Let's figure out what you.
Not
write.
very well, though.
That's way
Look,
better
it's
than most
it's
people.
haiku.
No. Like B2 means that like she can write in actual, like she can put something together in verse that scans properly, right?
Yes.
It won't necessarily be high, like it won't be great verse, but no one is going to look at it and go,
It's a step up
That's-
from limerick.
doesn't fucking work. You've made 3 mistakes.
Okay.
You can't pronounce compose, composi.
Yeah. So composition is the discipline of formally arranging one's ideas in written form.
But yeah, I also have a B3 in literacy. So yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that'll be a fork. Or you could do the test with.
I mean-
just write or literacy.
I will take the test with literacy and fork composition because that makes the most sense.
Okay. Well, I
Um,
suppose. Well, composition is about arranging your ideas. So it depends on what you want to say.
Yeah,
Well-
so what is this test about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this
Because
persuading the Wild Hunt to help us? Is this persuading the Wild Hunt not to send us other orders? Is this persuading
yeah, that's a good point. Actually,
is this
Also-
persuading the Wild Hunt that like they need to send someone else to deal with the problem in this town? Because we could do that. Like
it's a bad idea because it'll take ages for them to get here.
Yes.
But,
I think
it also
you'll-
affects the ob because composing a letter with write is ob 3 and composing a letter with composition is ob 1.
you actually have a better chance on composition then.
Yeah, I do have a bit of chance of composition. But I'm just trying to think what my letter is and what I want to achieve with it, and
Mm.
whether or not I can fork other things.
Oh, you definitely will be able to, right?
Will remind me because for some reason I'm fucking terrible with names in this campaign.
That's okay.
Well,
It's not, but go on.
it's not even this campaign. What was the name of my arch nemesis from the previous one shot?
Yeah, that's a fair thing to forget.
That's a fair thing to forget.
His name was Azir Kamid.
Ah, Kamid, that's the one. Yes. So
write that down and add it to your enemy circles if you want.
yes, I'm gonna fucking do that because it will never be relevant again. But
I mean, we've met him twice in this game now, so
I mean, that's true.
Possibly more than twice. You never know. He's
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
2 confirmed sightings, right?
Yeah.
The massively unconfirmed sighting and the dog that definitely
Everyone-
wasn't him.
Everyone
Yep.
you ever meet.
So I guess the aim of this letter is to be like, dear Wild Hunt, shit's fucked. We're going to go and deal with it. We're not going to. Well, it's going to be. We're going to deal with it regardless of what you tell us to do. So tell us to go and do it.
Tell them to give us loads of help.
Please write in this letter that Viper is not involved. Please. I don't want to lose my
Tell them
job.
to give us loads of money. Viper is barely in the Wild Hunt. Like she's a Shikari. If
I do not want to lose my pension plan.
if Neil writes a letter home saying today eel, Viper was sympathetic to the anathema, the Wild Hunt will just believe her because you're a Shikari and she's not.
Do not write me in your damn letter. I don't want to lose my dental. I don't want to lose my pension.
Listen, I'm not even entirely sure that they keep track of who's a Shikari on what mission. They
Yeah.
probably just have a big book of Shikari. That's like, well, we'll send them out, and like if we try and send them out and they're dead already, we'll just send a different one out.
What is this, a department for working pensions?
Yeah, like it's pretty similar, except everyone who's there is like a volunteer.
No. Well, no, this can't be the Department for Work and Pensions, because if so, you'd still be playing Owl. She'd be fit for work.
Oh,
Oh,
political
Politics.
comedy. Oh.
relevant jokes.
Amazing. Humor doesn't count when it's out of game, guys.
Yeah.
That should
That
be
wasn't
wrong.
humour. That
That
was
should be
satire.
wrong. I think you should get humor for your telling a funny joke.
No. Yeah, basically, my thing is, like, I want to write a letter that's like, shit is fucked and we need to go north to find out more about why shit is fucked. That's what we're going to do. So I guess redirect all of our mail to the north.
Are you being as vague as the North, or are you like?
I mean,
Because the North can mean anything, man.
yeah, I guess we are, because would I theoretically know where the next? Oh, what's the closest northern realm town with realm interest?
Town with realm.
Yeah, so like, who's the next most northern Wild Hunt contact that we know that we'll be able to get in contact with? Because they're going to be in a
Yes.
town with realm interest. That's why you're asking that, right?
Yes, because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Send our mail via this person,
Yeah,
via
it's-
this
it's-
common contact. We
it's-
may or
yeah.
may not meet them anytime soon, but
yeah.
you're not going to get them here, right?
Yeah, it's stop sending our mail to Noshua and start sending it to the next one.
Okay, yeah, I know what you mean. I suppose it is it would have been Thorns. But Thorns is gone now.
No.
But
We know that
I don't know that.
because
Yeah.
I think our timeline is still like
That's true.
Thorns isn't public knowledge.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah,
where I
that's
would
true.
say.
Yeah,
So-
okay. Yeah, and then
And
that,
it totally now makes sense why
that-
we would go there.
yes, that now actually gives us a non-bullshit reason to or a non-contrived reason, let's say, to
Yes.
still go to Thorns. Yeah.
So
Hooray!
we start going north looking for the plague, and we're like, we gotta pick
Send
up our
our
mail.
Thorns.
We gotta pick up our mail
Gotta
before we
drop
go
by
any
Thorns
further.
oh
then-
god!
And then we're like, yeah, we found
What's with all the corpses, guys?
what the problem was, I guess.
Whoops.
So everyone remember that at the end of this campaign, you need a belief left over for free persona for like finding where the plague came from.
Oh dear.
I don't want to die to the plague.
Okay.
I don't want to
Fine.
die of plague.
You're fine.
I want to die in a more interesting
Just don't eat
way.
any fruit.
Listen,
Oh god, let me just squeeze this fruit into my eyeballs.
we're
and-
gonna take some delicious fruit with us and eat those.
I feel like we're gonna eat them on accident, and one of us is gonna get like 8 legs.
The only one in danger of doing that is you twice.
Look, sometimes monkey brain says nice purple fruit full of good juice.
There aren't any purple fruit in the real world. Well, there are plums. Plums are delicious. Okay,
Yeah, so monkey
Anyway.
brain. So you prove my point. Monkey
fuck
brain
away.
says big purple fruit.
Will, you were saying anyway. Do we want to go
Yeah.
for a short break, or do we want to keep going with this letter?
Let's keep going.
I mean, I'm still
let's
I'm rolling
set
for
up
this
the roll.
letter. I
Let's
guess.
set up the roll.
Set up the roll.
Yeah, because the reason I was mentioning about Zirkamid is because I want to explicitly mention that I have reason to suspect that he is involved
Wait.
as
who is
my
involved?
justification for being like, holy shit, we need to do this.
Wait, who is involved? Sorry.
That Kamid is involved.
Oh right. Okay.
Because whilst I don't know that, and I've just seen his face on a dog, I'm gonna totally set up the letter like, yes, I have reason to believe that Azir Khamid is involved, and therefore we must redirect all of our attentions to this matter immediately.
Are you lying to them?
I mean, I guess it's not true.
We don't know if it's true or not.
Are
Yeah,
you
I think,
you
like,
over-egging how
Eel-
much information you have?
Yes.
Because if you are, then that's lying to them.
Mm.
So you can then roll
That is
falsehoods
falsehood,
and
yes.
fork the falsehood in.
I mean, I'm intending to deceive with this letter.
Yeah, I think there's some. I suppose before we figure out what skill to test, then I suppose failure with that intent in mind, failure will be. Failure will be like you get. Like they can't discipline you. They can't really like send someone out to stop you or whatever. Like I think what they would do is the response would be like you get a lecture on not on like ensuring that you're not doing this just purely out of revenge or something like that. Like they would be like they would see through your overzealousness, let's say.
Yes.
And like they know who you are, they know your history, they know
Yeah.
your reputation. Like
Yes.
they'll be. I think if anything, this role will set up the next arc, or help to set up the next arc. Like they may send additional things to Thorns to preempt whatever you're planning.
Yeah, because I think the main complication that this causes right here and now is that they send if I fail, they send an immediate message back, which doesn't happen very often because that's a lot of time and resources, saying no, stay where you are, and everybody knows that, so that when I go, hey guys, let's go north, everybody in the squad is like, but we were told to stay here.
And
it becomes
you keep that to yourself.
Well, I'm setting up the failure condition is that the failure condition is we are told not to go and everybody knows.
How would everybody know fictionally?
Because Noshua would call us all and tell us.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because we're not going to we get a response later this day. Noshua comes into the tavern and like tells
Noshua runs over to our table where all of us are sitting and is like, "You have been ordered to stay here."
Yes.
Yeah, and I suppose that that follows off of the failed circles roll as well. Then
yes,
because he's not.
Yeah, he's pissed and he wants to show me up.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my suggestion for the immediate.
So there's immediate repercussions. Like everybody knows that actually you're not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it will come in the form of like a lecture on like not chasing after revenge and so on.
Yes.
I'm
sure Arkan will revel in me.
Well, it may also affect morale in that sense because, like, everyone will be present when they see Eel get like disciplined from on satellite delay. You know, like Okay, so I think that's definitely an interesting set of failure consequences.
Yep. I can't wait to fail this and then have low morale so that when I order you guys into a suicide run into the city full of dead people, everybody goes, nah, fuck that, and just walks away. And it's just us.
Success, I think, will be... Yeah, I think success will be they take your word seriously. And this will probably not have immediate repercussions, but will set up, like, I'll make a note to set up like more support for you ready when you get to Thorns.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I definitely like those odds.
Okay. Are you using composition or literacy?
Well, I was about to say, if I use composition, what is my ob?
Oh, or falsehood, I suppose. We did.
I
that
think
last
I think
time.
you ought to be deciding in advance. Honestly, you should be rolling falsehood here. Like the intent, like the thing that you are trying to do is tell a really good lie.
Yeah, so falsehood with composition as a fork.
Here's the thing: like, we don't know if it's a lie or not. Like, does Eel believe that she's lying? Like, when you test falsehood, it's because like you know that you're lying and you're
Yeah.
trying to. Yeah.
Because here's the thing. The majority of her letter is actually not a lie. It's just a straight up reporting of everything that's happened. The part that is a lie is the idea that, like, I will say that Azir Khamid is involved. That's the deception, because I don't actually know that. I've just seen his face on a dog. I suspect that he might be involved, but backing up my claims by saying I know he's involved is a deception.
Yeah, I think that makes falsehood a fork.
Yeah, I'm happy with either. I'm happy with either. I just want to know what my ob is because I'm gonna decide whether or not to spend fate persona.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. Let's call it composition. So base ob 1 because it is just a letter, but I'm gonna give a +1 ob just because of the kind of what's at stake.
My negative dice from my reputation.
Yeah, we could call it that. Yeah.
So it's a difficulty 2 composition.
Yes.
Okay, so I can force literacy and falsehood.
Yes.
That would give me 4 dice. And
against ob 2.
Pardon?
So ob 2 in total, right?
Yeah, ob 2 total on 4 dice. I'm just deciding whether or not to spend persona.
So that'll be routine.
Yes. Cool. Yeah, no, I'm going to spend a persona.
All right.
Boom.
Nice.
So that's
3
2 over the ob.
Open up them sixes. Get even higher.
Oh my god, yeah, that is a lot of 6.
Do anything?
Sure, I will spend a fate to do that.
Does that even have any effect? I don't think there can be an effect.
Yeah.
Like it would be so vague. What's 2 successes over the ob of extra help versus what's like?
Can I roll them anyway, just for shits and giggles?
Sure.
Sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's that would have been 5 successes over the ob. But yeah, no, cool. I succeeded. I write a convincing letter and I have their blessing. I'm happy with this.
Oh wait, shit. I suppose Nosh. I've just remembered. Like Noshua's enmity should have played into that as well.
Oh yeah, should have been.
So it should have been ob 4.
Penalty. Yeah.
So that's actually a difficult test, not a routine, but you still passed.
I'll just change that test.
Yeah.
That's cool because I need a difficult test for composition.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I guess you write this letter out, and he looks at it, and like he's got his morning brew, and he takes it off your hands once you finish writing, and he looks at it, takes a sip, doesn't even finish his sip, and then like puts his mug down and says, "All right, you were right. Yeah, this seems pretty important." And he goes, like goes into his back room and like pulls out some like enchanting materials and stuff, like spell components, and then sets up on his kitchen table. Like, I can't remember. Did we watch him send a message before?
Don't think so.
No.
Yeah, so I think I've decided his method of sending these messages is slightly different from what Al was doing. He's got a slightly different spell, and yeah, he like lays some stuff out on the table and then like makes a copy of your note for his own keeping, basically, and then takes yours and like yeah, does his incantation and sets it on fire, and you see like a little bit of like a little sparkle, and the fire turns from normal red burning flame to like a purplish green, and then there's like a and it and then it's gone.
Cool.
And yeah, and he turns around and says, well, it sounds like you won't be needing my services anymore, at least, which I have to say I'm somewhat thankful of. No offense.
None taken. And thank you.
By the way, since you're here, I did some tests on that water.
Do tell.
Oh, I did give him a character sheet. Cool. All right, give me a sec. This is just for my own humor, more than anything. Distilling the essential components of a liquid up to alchemy. Give him. I'll just give him 4 dice on this test. Rip. Okay, so he goes, yeah, my results are conclusive. There's nothing wrong with the water.
I'm just gonna like look at him with a cocked eyebrow.
Whatever you found in it must have just been a one-off. Just some grit or something. You know, these water filters, they aren't perfect. We're out in the middle of nowhere. You can't expect everything.
I'm just gonna continue just to look at him with an eyebrow cocked.
Anyway, that's it, really.
Okay, I'm just gonna like sort of stand up, brush myself off, bow politely, and I am going to leave. But she is going to go within like visual distance of the temple and meditate quietly for a few minutes.
Okay. All right. Should we take a break there?
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Cool. And I'll make a note. So, there will be extra help waiting in forms.
I'm going to make a note as well. Better off without. Not sure.
No, Shua's a shitty wizard.
The real shit wizard.
It's like if you took Owl and just made it worse.
This is the kind of person who you find in a shithole town in the middle of nowhere. So they're just bad at their
There's
job.
a reason why he's in the shithole town in the middle of nowhere.
He tried really hard at Wizard College, and
Yeah.
just everyone bullied him, and then he gave up.
He's a wizard college dropout, but he can't actually do proper magic.
He's got like 2
He
spell
can do
books.
sorcery.
But he's not proper
He's all right at
wizard.
sorcery. He's not great at alchemy.
He just loves alchemy.
Well, actually, no. He's got a B. I just gave him a B4 in alchemy, which means he's actually like averagely good at it.
But he's got shit all to show for it.
I think B4 is like undergraduate.
B4 is like, well, if B5 is supposed to mean that you're a specialist, then B4 is like,
I mean,
actually-
B4 is degree level.
yeah, probably.
B4 is like, yeah, you're
Like,
an undergraduate. you scrape
among
through,
people that are good at
crammed a bit.
alchemy, B4 is average.
You crammed a bit and like made it through your exams. You know,
It's a 2-1.
At
I'd say
least.
no. I'd say B4 is a 2-2.
I like how
Um,
instead of taking a break, we're shitting on this
Yeah,
poor
let's-
fucking PC
I'm going
for
to
nothing more than failing a simple
You're
roll.
Let's go. Hello. Oh, no one is here. Nobody is here. I'm all alone.
I'm back.
Hello.
I have spaghetti.
I wish there was a way to lift YouTube comments or like see them more easily. Because in order to see that Jen and Lee were like talking during the stream, I actually would have to have YouTube open myself.
You can do what I do. If you go into the stream, there's a hamburger menu on the side of the chat that will let you pop the chat out in its own window.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's what I do.
Okay.
But sometimes I forget.
And then the chat is here. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna do that in future. Cause yeah.
Do you have two monitors?
I do, yeah. One of them occasionally decides not to cooperate with me.
Yeah.
Have you read anything good recently? I haven't asked.
The Mahabharata.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's a huge book, dude. It's like
Yeah.
It's like 100,000 verses. I'm less than halfway through it, and I'm listening to it in podcast form.
I feel like that is a step I am not going to follow you on. Not immediately. I don't know.
Though I did buy a physical copy of the book anyway. Just
Wow.
like, well, an abridged version, and it's 900 pages.
I imagine the cover art must be pretty good.
Yeah.
Howard should have just bought the whole thing.
Look it up. It's the Penguin Classics cloth bound
Ooh,
Mahabharata.
cloth
You
bound.
should have just bought the whole thing.
Dude,
Terrible.
you can buy the unabridged version. It comes in 11 volumes and costs like £300.
Well, sounds like it's worth it.
Those are pretty nice. Oh, I've actually seen these in stores recently. In like Waterstones, because the Penguin Classics always used to be like the black. I've got a whole bunch on my shelves.
Yeah, so
Mostly
do I.
like Roman and Greek
Black and
historians.
orange with a white bar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and usually like a Renaissance painting on the front.
yeah. And then this is just a nice pattern.
Yeah.
I don't read often. I like to listen to my podcasts.
Yeah.
I can recommend the Mahabharata podcast.
Oh, they've got a really nice version of Metamorphoses. Oh. To be honest, I actually own these books already. Like,
Yeah.
it would not take much effort for me to just go back and read some of my like occasionally I'll buy books as like improving books, if you see what I mean. Like something you read because partly because you think you ought to, but partly because it has a very good reputation.
Oh, right. Okay. Not like buying a book that you already own because it's decrepit and falling apart.
To be honest, I will be doing that with several books that I own.
Yeah. I keep thinking I should do that with the Pillars of the Earth. Because my copy of the
Really?
Pillars of the Earth is just falling apart.
How did you? I started the Pillars of the Earth, and I was immediately turned off by the very start of the book. Like that
I
several
never finished
scenes.
it.
You never finished it. Okay.
But I inherited it, so it had already been
Right.
read several times.
Right.
I've been thinking of going back to it, but it's
Yeah.
quite a It's quite hard to pass at times, let's say.
I think Rob has done the thing where he comes back and waits for us to finish our conversation. That we are having.
Okay, keep talking.
Yeah, I need to forget.
But yeah, I recently have read several things. I read, you may have heard of it, the Three Body Problem.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
heard
told
of
us
that.
about this. Yeah.
Very good first book. Don't bother with the second two. I think I may have told you about Annihilation as well, because I read the first book. Like, I read the
I don't
first
remember
book
you mentioning
of. Yeah, it's a trilogy, like a horror trilogy. I guess they made a Netflix film of the first book,
Right.
and it is a very good first book. And don't bother with the sequels.
Oh, I didn't mention. Yeah.
Seems to
you
be a
told-
running theme with the book.
I'm- It's a running theme with the like series. I think it's like author writes a really good first book, publishing company contacts them and is like, seriously, we will make so much money off of sequels. Just continue writing sequels for us. And the author goes, well, it sort of felt really a lot better as a standalone thing, but money.
Yeah.
Uh,
On the topic of what you said earlier, though, about the classic, like that you buy them because you think you should have them,
Yeah.
reminds me of a Mark Twain quote, which is something like, "The classics are the books that everybody owns but nobody reads."
Yep.
I once got bought the biography of Mark Twain.
And you haven't read it.
I gave it to Oxfam. Like, I
Oh.
never intended to read it. I don't know why the person who gave it. It's like my granny gave it to me. And I'm like, I mean, I like books, but no.
See, I have
I find it hard to read biographies.
I have
I
a
have no
few-
interest in biographies.
I don't actually have many books like in my room. I put them all in boxes and stuck them up in the attic because I'd finished reading them, and I don't go back to a book I've finished reading unless I love it. But I do have 3 books holding up my PC from off the
Okay.
ground just because I can.
Okay, so
And,
what are that's the real question.
What are the books?
What are books?
Well, one is a Scottish folktales one, which I enjoyed reading. I just can't be bothered going back to it. The other one is Consider Phlebas, which I tried to read. I so desperately wanted to finish, but fuck, I would punch the man who wrote that for just the amount
Really?
of time it took to read half a fucking sentence. It felt like reading like mud.
Man, Ian Banks is a really good author. and I feel sad that you
It's just
that you didn't go on
boring.
with him.
Just
Consider-
fucking dull.
Consider Fleabus is also like I would not rate it as dull.
Like,
I think it's the wrong culture novel to start the series with.
well, here's the thing. Want to know how I started reading this? I was in detention, and I liked to read, and the teacher was like, "Right, you can read a book to pass the time." So I picked up Consider Phlebas. This still belongs to the teacher. I have never given them it back, and I do not intend to, because
That's pretty sad.
I cannot be bothered to. I don't think they even care
To be honest, I have a copy of John Stuart Mill's On Liberty that I picked up in pretty much the same way.
I cannot identify what the other book under there is because it is facing away. But I
Okay.
assume it is a shitty young adult novel that I read once, and I read it at the time where I was into young adult novels and I gushed over it, but now it's garbage fire.
Nice.
There's a line in Amber that always stuck with me, which was nobody steals books but your friends.
That's yeah.
Which is
Feels-
pretty true. Like I traded my copy of Beowulf for the Once and Future King, and I still have it. Like we never traded back. And I once lent somebody a copy of the 32 Steps and never got it back.
Is it the 30? I think it's 36.
I also lent somebody a copy of Utopia and never got it back. Fuck.
Utopia. I don't.
By Robert Moore.
Okay.
No, not Roger Moore. Robert Moore.
See,
Yeah, no, I've read. Yeah. Okay.
I only have a few books that I keep in my room because I've decided these are books I like. They must be kept on display for me to look at them. And it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Thomas
6 books. 3 of them are technically.
You realize
manga.
this makes you look like you've only read 6 books in your life.
It does, but
Because
here's
most people have the opposite habit, and they keep all of the books that they've read on their shelves, even if they think they're shit books.
But the thing
like-
is, I just don't have the space.
For
I don't have
example,
the space.
The two sequels to Annihilation that I have told you are bad are on my shelf.
See, I just I don't ever return to a book because I'm like, I've already read this. I don't want to reread it because I enjoyed my experience.
Cool. I think we're all back.
Right, yeah,
Yep.
let's carry on. So let's start with a question that I'll ask. I'll position this question mostly at Scott. What is Viper doing, and is what Viper is doing conjoining with what I think everybody else wants to do next, which is go look for a monk?
Yes,
Do you also want to go look for a monk, or is there something?
I have a belief about it, so I want to go look for the monk.
Is there anything you want to do first?
Not particularly. If I run into Arcan, I would just be like, "Oh, how did you sleep?" Have small talk.
Okay. In that case, then I suppose we can open on that. Arkan and Viper having small talk, and then at some point Eel shows up, and then you all decide to go look for a monk. Somehow.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or, well, it'd probably take too long. Is there anything little that you want to do on Belief 3 first, Ollie?
I feel like because I keep chopping and changing this. I keep taking it out, and like the actual sentiment behind it is, as much as it's like I want to like bully them into respecting their god again because their god deserves respect.
Yeah.
Like one of the 2 routes, apart from like people ought to respect gods, is I actually want to help the sick people of this town. So I'm changing the first half of the belief to I will help the sick. Hang on. Z. Yeah. I will help the sick people of this town. because then I'll at least get fate for this. Even though, like, I don't feel like it's appropriate for me to change the belief entirely to like I will help find them out, because I don't actually like. I don't have a solid reason that I can get behind that Arcan would be like, this is the best idea, this is the best way to use our time. But it does help the people, it will help them. So
Finding the monk.
yeah.
Well,
So I'm gonna put it to like I'm gonna help the sick people of this town.
I think there's potentially an interesting question here or debate that you could have with Eel about like, is it better to find the monk and bring the town back in line with the immaculate ways that it was recently, or is it better to let them go back to their old ways before the Immaculate Order showed up at all?
It's whether we want to have like another like in character argument before going and doing things, or whether we
That's
want to do
true,
some
yeah.
things and then argue about it afterwards. Because I feel like I can, like, I'm probably positioned better to like push the people to go and like start worshipping Basata than Eel is to push them to start worshipping the Immaculate Order in some ways. Because you've said they're still like quite religious in certain aspects.
Yeah, I think like it's still fairly fresh in people's memories that the presence of the Immaculate Order in the town is a foreign influence.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you feel Arkan would need to be convinced to go look for this monk, or are you happy for, like, I guess this relates back to like the leadership question now. Like, does Arkan need convincing that the next good move is to go look for the monk, or is this about who takes charge from here on out, or like?
Rob, are you happy? Like, would you be happy to do this in a single roll? Like which direction we go? Because, like, if you're not, then I'll just back down, right? But if you are, then I think that's an okay way to resolve things.
I don't understand what this. What is this hinging on right now?
This hinges on basically Arcan's religious beliefs. Like, it is incorrect for us to go and look for this monk because we don't need the monk for the people to praise Basata, right?
Right.
Like, they can just do that.
Okay.
I mean, that sounds like a belief.
Yeah. You know what? No, I am. Let's roll on that, because
So yeah,
she would be forced to cede. Yeah,
let's play this scene out. So like Eel comes back into the tavern, and like she's just sent this message. She's feeling action ready. Viper and Arcan are like discussing how miserable Arcan feels, and Viper is gloating and mocking him, and Arcan is
Don't assign what my character's doing.
I mean,
can you deny that that's what your character is?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry
Wait,
for.
what's Viper doing?
Viper's just listening to his fucking tale of woe or whatever and just nodding her head, just like, yes, that is upsetting.
I'm like complaining about how pieces of my armor are like still wet from being out in the rain last night.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Out in the rain last night. Why?
I didn't really address the why of the conversation. I just complain about it.
I think all it is you're complaining and then Viper going, but why? And then you're complaining more.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Yeah, and then Eel comes in and will do a thing, I guess.
Yeah, I guess Eel comes in and sort of sits down. Well, no, probably doesn't even sit down at the table. Probably signals the other Shikari who are standing in a corner, or sitting in another corner, to gather around. and say, well, I guess she brings people up to date and sort of says, "I've been to Noshra this morning and sent out a message telling the hunt of our next intentions. I was intending to put a team together to go and locate our errant monk and try and restore the Misata problem. Whilst a second team comes up with a plan for what it is that Viper is trying to accomplish."
You've spoken about this monk before, right? Eel, I feel that... Why is it that you want him back?
Why?
Is it a contact at the hunt, or does he know something that might help us to... Do you think he understands this plague somehow?
I believe that if there is anyone who can attend to the long-term needs of a god over the recovery time it will take this village to recover, it is a member of the Immaculate Order.
I thought so. Eli, I understand that your religion tells you that the gods must be worshipped only by those who have some sort of... Well, I don't understand why you limit it and how you limit it, but this isn't the realm. These people looked after their gods in this valley for hundreds of years before you ever came here. Thousands, maybe. Is it... Maybe it's only a coincidence that the god falls ill when a monk from the order has replaced their worship. But can we afford to take that chance?
You think perhaps the lapse in worship caused this plague to impact the god more seriously than perhaps if he had been worshipped?
Masata has asked us to restore the worship of his people. He said nothing of this monk.
Worship is one thing, but uncontrolled worship of a god leads to occultism, and that can be dangerous in a populace.
I don't know what you speak of. Back in my home, we worshipped Alat as we chose, and he blessed us in kind. To me, this seems better. The people
Better than what?
How well do I know the theology of the Immaculate Order?
Well, I believe you are learning
You're
doctrine.
learning Immaculate Order wise, is it?
Yeah. I feel can I make a related wise test? And if I fail, I say something really stupid that makes my argument to convince you more difficult.
Like a
Why
link
do you do
test.
this to yourself?
I wanna finish learning. I wanna
Yeah,
be a
that's
good
fair.
student.
It's probably relevant to this conversation as well.
Yeah.
This isn't just test mongering.
Mm.
Okay.
I wanna establish that I know that the Immaculate Order parcels out little parcels of worship to all the gods to make sure that they're just well enough fed to keep doing their jobs. And I'm gonna say, like, that's not enough. Gods need to be strong.
Okay, yeah. I think well, Rob, I think Rob can maybe help me out here. Do you think that's common knowledge or an interesting fact?
I would say that is common knowledge.
I would tend to agree, yeah. Which makes it ob 1.
Cool.
Yeah, because that would be common knowledge to anybody with any.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this is
Yeah.
the whole reason. Like, if the Immaculate Order comes along to a location and starts, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah. So what this does is, if I succeed, it gives me the grounding to say something
Yeah.
that is actually good
This is-
logic, rather than
Yeah.
just like me being like, I don't like your religion.
This is where you quote what I said to you in lesson 1 of our theology class, which was just like,
you start like turning the faith against itself. Like,
when we first met, I was but the learner. Now
Oh, hang
I
on.
am the master.
I'm not
Oh,
wounded anymore.
you're not
I
wounded
shouldn't be
anymore.
wounded anymore.
You're
So
not wounded
that
anymore, so
Well,
that is a pass.
that's
is a success.
mark that test
Nice.
and get.
Oh,
rid
yeah,
of
I
wound.
slept, so I'm no longer winded.
Yeah.
Oh.
Eel, if you're still.
But I still
You
got my
are
light.
wounded a little.
I still got my light wound, but I've no longer got my superficial.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying to me?
Eel, you've told me yourself that the order parcels out prayers to make sure that gods don't get too strong, but Masata is in a position of weakness. Even if we bring this monk back, he won't be able to provide everything that Masata needs. We should focus on talking to the townsfolk and restoring their attitude towards their god, and find this monk later if we have time.
So you are maintaining that a period of sustained worship would be better for his recovery than perhaps taking the time to have a more controlled. Well, I can't think of the word in English.
Well, in
Think of it
non-English,
in Welsh.
No, I can't think of it in any language. I just there was
give
a
us a
sentiment that
description.
okay, hold on. Let me try that sentence again. Let me try that sentiment again. So what you are advocating is, rather than a controlled recovery, we simply allow things to restore to the old ways, try to heal Masata through an influx of strength, and then curb it at a later date.
If the people want to welcome your order back, or they send a new monk, then let them curb it. It's none of our business. We are here to solve a problem.
Okay, that sounds like a standpoint for a roll to me.
Yeah. Two things. One, you've got a 6 there, so you could spend a fate to get a +1 die.
I don't feel I need to. I was giving myself a grounding, right?
Well, we said it was a link test, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm-
I don't
You
feel like
have
I
a
want
6.
to.
If you want to spend fate, you can.
No, I want to save my fate. I've only
You
got
have
11.
11 fate. Okay.
Might need to pop all of those
also,
11 at some point.
Is your persuasion aptitude correct?
Yeah, I think it's broken.
What do you mean it's broken?
No, I think it is correct. Yeah. 4. Persuasion.
No, as in the
Oh,
aptitude.
yeah, no, that's definitely wrong.
Okay, yeah.
I clicked on that wrong.
Right. Well, I was gonna say, because if that's correct, then you've learned persuasion.
No, I've never actually rolled persuasion. I've only rolled will instead.
Yeah. Presumably, same with gambling.
Oh yeah, all of mine have gone squiffy as well.
Yeah, no, gambling.
Huh.
Gambling.
That's
I
weird.
rolled. Yeah, gambling. I increased my will with.
Okay.
Because I failed. Yeah.
How weird.
Let's see if Vipers have.
What?
Just checking if you're.
All of the being
Atlas
learned
have
had gone
got
squiffy and
ones.
had 1,000,000 points in them for some reason.
No, mine's is normal.
Oh, how
Yeah,
weird.
yours are fine.
I should have had one in gambling.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think this is. I feel like this is just like a versus test on some sort of social skill. Because I'm not interested in going further than that.
We could say rhetoric.
Well,
Versus...
it's like whatever. Yeah, I think it's rhetoric from
Persuasion.
Arcane.
Well, mine would obviously be Suasion.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So I can't fork shit. So I'll roll first on base obstacle 1 to tell you how much you've got to roll.
Okay, well, because I'm going to fork a bunch of stuff.
Could I?
Well, actually, who's? Wow, you've got
Oh my
4 sixes.
I'm opening them.
Jesus.
could Viper help out? Eel?
Yeah, Viper. Yeah,
Yeah.
what does Viper say?
Viper, after hearing you go back and forth, is just like, Arcan, let us just look for the monk. They are related to this problem, and if we fail in our duties of finding him, well, it'll be on us. We have every opportunity to save him, and hopefully, I believe that the monk knows what he's doing more than you do, as you are not an immaculate monk. That's my attempt to help.
All right, what are you helping with?
Rhetoric, because the only social skill I have.
Fair enough.
So-
What the
No,
fuck?
no, this is an obstacle 4 test because, as everyone has forgotten, I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have the rhetoric skill.
Oh yeah, it's half of
Oh.
this.
Wait, you're still learning rhetoric?
I'm still learning it.
Oh yes, okay, cool. That's yeah. That was
Sure.
not nearly as
Okay.
good as I thought it
So
was. But it was still
Ob4.
damn good.
Could you please fail on 3 or 4 dice because that will give me a perception test.
Hang on. Okay, so if this is a versus test, who's the defender?
I think he is.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So in order to win this versus test, Rob, all you have to do is meet the ob.
Okay, so I will fork Almanac and God's Wise into a Suasion chest.
And you take help as well.
Yep,
Oh,
and I've got
Plus
5.
2
and
dice of help from rhetoric.
rhetoric.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so I'm rolling 8 dice. I'm sorry.
Ob4 is still.
Watch me fail this now.
If you fail, I'll laugh.
Oh, there we are.
There goes my
We're
laugh.
going monk hunting.
Okay.
Damn,
But
that was some
wait.
good rolling though.
What do you say to like shut Arkan down?
I guess Eel's response is, it is a bold suggestion, Arcan, and were this any other situation I would consider it, but there is already one threat in this city that is being allowed to grow too much. I would not want to risk having something else go out of control on our watch.
All right.
Or
Did you
perhaps
mark
threat is the
that?
wrong word. Perhaps
Rhetoric.
danger is the word she would use. But
Did you mark that rhetoric test, Arkan?
I don't get shit because it's a perception test, and I failed it.
Yeah, but it would work towards aptitude for rhetoric instead of you could count it as a perception test. Yeah, because rhetoric is a skill.
I think for difficult, it has to go to the stat. Or difficult or challenging has to go to the stat, and routine goes to the skill.
Well, I've never heard that before.
We can double check later.
We can double check later.
Yeah. Mark a routine suasion test, Rob.
or done.
All right, cool.
I get jack nothing.
No, you
5
should
versus
get
4.
a 4. Yeah, you should get a difficult rhetoric test.
Obstacle for rhetoric.
Oh, is it difficult?
Yeah.
I finally have 3 difficult. Now I only need a challenging.
One day.
I'm so excited for Rhetoric 6.
Oh dear.
I mean,
What's
you think
your
you've got problems?
6.
Try getting Wushu 8.
I don't like. Look, I only need 3 difficults and 2 challengings for Sword 8, but I want Rhetoric 6. That's like
Characters.
that's when Viper retires. Rhetoric 6, I'm over. That's it. I've hit peak. I can't go up.
Okay.
All right. Well, Eel's got Falsehood 6, which I've just noticed and
Yep.
forgotten about.
Eel doesn't
Eel is
play
good
very
at-
often.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
really doesn't.
I've never needed to. It's a real
But
shame.
one day.
You would have been really useful in that K-Thac thing, but you
I
know
would've.
what?
But they also never would have believed it. I would have been at like
Yeah,
insanely
you would have been
high
at
odds.
like +2 odd for. such
Hello, I am
false
secretly
fixed
a
lie.
K-Thac.
Oh, you would have to be like,
Don't
is
you
I'm in a s-
recognise me? I don't know your names. Someone tell me their names.
Look, all you could have done is said, I'm in a Celsi, I want to help do whatever. And there you go. Everyone would have
Trust
believed
me,
you.
I'm an Excelsi.
Trust me, I'm the people that tried to throw over the Empress.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what does looking for a monk look like?
Well, I would like to go back into the forest, find the Kefak camp, and then have our squad spread out and look for any signs of where the monk ended up after presumably what is a confrontation with the Kefaks.
Okay.
Because we established previously that he's not dead.
The monk is not dead, yeah.
Yeah. So that means he escaped and is hiding out here somewhere because he didn't go back to town and there's nowhere else for him to go. So we've got to look beyond.
Well, yeah. Strictly speaking, we haven't established that the monk is not dead, but you have a strong suspicion that he's not.
I thought we established when we were talking to Misata because we said Misata would know if he was dead.
Yeah, I think I remember Arkan saying something like Arkan exclaimed the monk isn't dead because he like interpreted something that Misata said.
Yeah,
But I don't think there was a test involved per se.
we haven't explicitly established it as a definitely true thing.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it is more likely true than not because like of the way that Misata thinks about the world and like is able to perceive the world. Like he's more likely to have perceived a dead monk than a living one in some ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
If he died within the forest, if he's not been carried away far, like
Yeah.
Which means he's hiding out here somewhere.
but could be.
That's my operating theory. He's hiding out here somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess I would like to have the gang split up and search for clues.
I call dibs on Velma.
I'll go with Daphne. Arkan, you have Shaggy and Scooby. Well, rather, Arkan is Shaggy and Scooby.
No, Arkan is just Scooby.
Arkan.
Is that a ghost?
To be honest, we have actually established that Arkan is terrified of ghosts. It is true. It's a known fact. Oh, God.
Oh my fuck.
I can't believe we have canonically established that Arkan is Scooby.
Oh.
I don't fucking get God.
Oh, fuck.
Let's just look
That's
for
too
fucking
funny.
clues.
Oh, dear.
Okay. So split up and look for clues. What? What kind of test do we think this is?
Tracking?
It's a hard one to call.
Like, if we're looking for signs of a confrontation, I would say tracking. That's the, like...
Yeah, because I guess we are looking for...
Because there's no other there's no other skill that that fits this kind of situation. Tracking is the best for, like...
God, it's
But-
nice to have a physical book to go through.
I have tracking open right now. Tracking is the ability to follow prints, impressions, and traces through wilderness, which is kind of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult though, because it happened months ago.
Question.
Well, okay, so rethinking that, what if we were to look for signs of somebody living in the forest?
That's a good one.
Because that would be significantly easier, but is it still the same skill?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, well, if like it was probably still the same skill, but a slightly lower ob. Like, I don't think there's any skill that like fits looking
Yeah,
for
I'm
signs
not-
of a man living.
Find man in woods skill.
I would like to open Find Man in Woods Wise.
Find man in woods wise.
Strange men in woods wise. That'll get that. That's a different thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it probably is
Hunting?
tracking still. Yeah, hunting.
hunting. If we make it out like he's some kind of game animal.
I think hunting would be stretching.
I think
but-
hunting is stretching. You can't hunt
Yeah.
people.
Yes, you
Well,
can.
You can't,
Yeah,
you
I'm
track
pretty
them.
sure hunting ob 5 is man.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hunt people.
Yeah, but
But,
that's
no, but like that involves the whole process
Yeah,
of like
that's-
you're trying to track them down and kill them.
Well, yeah, well,
Like,
yeah,
track
like
them
the
or-
hunting is like if you were hunting down.
and hunting is tracking without your target knowing that you're tracking.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, no,
technically what
okay,
we're
I'm
doing.
just remembering. For a second, yeah, I was thinking it was like the greatest prey of
This would be-
all, man, ob 5, but it doesn't actually say that.
This would definitely be
I think it's tracking.
There's no
yeah.
way it's anything else.
Yeah.
So I guess the most sensible way to do this is have one person roll and everybody else offer help.
Well, I have tracking being learned at B6.
Have any
I
other forester skills?
I've
I've got orienteering.
a survival, B3 survival. I know how to live in the trees.
I've also got a B4 in observation. So that helps.
I've got a B something in observation. I don't know where the fuck.
But
my
you're the
other-
person rolling, like most likely to be rolling tracking, though, aren't you?
Yeah, B6 would be double ob though.
Wait, does nobody have tracking?
No,
Right. Okay.
You know what this time for? It's time to circle a Chikari good at tracking.
I think we
I don't think we want to risk
I don't
that.
think we want to do that because like
yeah, you might turn out to be like.
Also, I don't feel it's the right time. We've done a lot of that, right?
Yeah, you'll
I
run
think-
out of Shikari soon.
Well, I think also we want to pace ourselves on introducing all of the
Yeah, new
Shikari.
characters.
Yeah,
Well, it's whether we want to take a double ob.
let's just take the double up because like we don't know what the fail consequence is going to be. It could be
Yeah,
interesting.
this is gonna be okay. So
Um,
here's the ob, right? It's following tracks on soft earth after rain, which is ob 5.
So that's up 10. And I have a
Okay.
B6, so I would need 6 helping dice for it to be maybe doable. What's the failure consequence?
So
Yeah, 'cause-
yeah, let's talk about that. So Right. I'm gonna say this. Yeah. Okay. So success is you find the monk. Failure is you run into Tane instead.
Yes! Yes!
Okay, yeah.
Run into
Yes! Oh my god, I'm so pleased.
Kane.
Tane, the gambler.
Kane. No, I just like saying his name. Kane.
Tane, not Kane.
What would he be like? Violent?
I mean,
But-
he's on a mountain, suspiciously wandering around, looking for Vasata.
I hope
Someone's
he's
going to be violent.
I hope he's violent.
Um, let's do this. Who wants
Who's
free
leading the role?
tests?
Yeah. Who's leading
so-
the role and who's helping? And if you're helping, what are you helping with?
I'm leading the role.
I will help with observation.
Not orienteering?
It's the same dice.
Oh, okay. Is it 4 or 5?
4.
Oh, okay.
I would also like to help with observation.
Okay.
I'm actually helping this time.
I think the Shikari will. They'll probably also help with with observation, probably. Or orienteering. I think it's the same for them. Either way.
I mean, I also have orienteering as a skill.
I think the lead
Well,
has to be tracking.
We're testing. Yeah.
I know, just throwing it out there in case we could use orienteering.
But because it's being learned, you can't fork, can you?
Once you have learnt it, you'll be able to fork like a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
But
Not really, because I only have like 2 things I can possibly fork.
it's pretty good.
I've still. This is a conversation for another time, but I've still don't really understand why you can't fork into being learned.
I do.
I do.
But we
Alright,
don't
we'll
need to
talk
get
about
into
it
that
later,
conversation.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can kind of guess why.
So yeah. How many Shikari are with you? There's 5. Are you bringing all 5 with you, or are you leaving
Yes,
any
we are doing
Yes.
a full split up and look for clues.
Okay. So in that case, I guess we'll say up to 3 helping. Oh wait, no.
Yeah, 3 helping dice is fine. I take.
Wait. Well, you've already got 1 helping die from Rob, 1 helping die from Arkan, right?
Yep.
And then 1 helping die from a Shikari, and then we'll say 1 more from the other 4.
Mm-hmm. So that's how many helping die in total again?
So 4 helping dice in total.
Right. Just a thing, because I don't know if I updated my sheet. I did use my deeds last session, right?
Yes, you did.
Right. Okay. And I put that was in a rhetoric test, wasn't it?
It was.
I believe so. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I was just making sure because I had to make sure I'd moved that.
Yeah. you didn't.
But I moved it now.
Cool.
I'm gonna spend a persona
Alright,
because I would very
taking
much
risks.
I would very much like to succeed this role. I very much
Okay.
won't because it is 12 dice against ob 10.
You've got fate.
We can do it.
Yeah, it's doable.
Oh
It's
boy.
not
Well,
impossible.
You have
and that's
fate,
what
though you
matters.
don't have enough fate to reliably stunt your way through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so spend 1 to open end it. That's
I
fine.
want to fail. Let's just fail.
Ollie,
You
I
always
swear
wanna
to
fail,
Jesus,
Ollie.
every
Failing is more fun.
No, it's not.
Fail forwards.
Fail is only fun when it's something cool.
This is why you have so much fate, because you never want to succeed.
I mean,
I'm just like,
admittedly,
what?
meeting
I
Tane in the middle of the
failed.
forest would be cool, but
Right.
All right.
No additional
Are we ready for
complications.
this roll?
Yep. 3, 2, 1. Jesus.
oh jeez.
Oh,
That's a
oh,
lot.
Yeah, I'm also at -1. I don't
Oh,
know
you're
if I can.
wounded! Oh, we forgot you're wounded. Are you still the best to lead that roll?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am the only one amongst these people who are qualified for anything really.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's an extra dot in tracking at least.
mark that tracking test. Yeah.
I'm not bothering opening that fate.
Yeah, you're not gonna get 7.
I think for
successes
all
on
this
2 dice.
tracking, next time we come to a trait vote, I should get tracking related.
Maybe. We'll see.
I think our next trait vote is going to be really interesting.
It will, yeah.
Because
Arcane, yeah.
wow, what are we even going to like? Wow,
We might even go for 2 traits. next.
I wouldn't mind that.
Scandalous. Well, don't say something so scandalous.
Okay. So what does this failure look like?
I think we just like. I think Viper gets a hold of some tracks, and she's like,
It's this way.
I think I may have found something. Let us investigate these tracks. They may lead us to the monk. And I guess as we're walking through the bushes and the trees and the birds are chirping,
Yeah.
I like walk headfirst into this man.
I think actually Arcan is the one who spots him. He's just like, hey, that's that blue hedgehog again of all places.
Let's think. Yeah. Where? So I think curiously, maybe Eel is the only one that knows this because she's like good at orienteering, and has orienteering related special powers.
Yes.
You notice that sort of where you are is roughly, we'll say it's within the dominion, or what you expect the general dominion of Misata to be, like over the next hill or round the next corner or whatever. You'll probably come back to the big shrine area.
Yeah. Well, presumably, like the way I deduce this is like there's vague hints of like animal activity of us being watched, but it's only sort of like on the edges of the periphery. It's not like they're following us around.
Yeah. And you've been searching all day. It's now like coming up on sunset. Yeah, I think Viper's leading this little excursion. You've maybe regrouped, like you throughout the day. You've sort of spread out, regrouped, and so on. And the last time you regrouped, Viper was like, "Oh, I think I've got something. Look, these tracks look pretty fresh. Let's follow them up this hill." So you all agree to do that and head up, and you come onto this hill, and it overlooks like just round the side of the mountain from this hillside, poking up through the trees. You can just make out the glimmering of Atuan shining in the sunset light. And like a little bit further around this side of the mountain, if you kept the same altitude from here, you'd come back to the shrine. So it's not in view just yet, but you know that you're close. And as you're looking out, looking down at this sparkling speck in the distance, yeah, I think you watch it. Like it's quite a marvelous image, really, and you watch it long enough that the sun drops behind the horizon, and we enter a kind of twilight in the sky. And it's at that point that you're sort of shaken from your mesmerization of this image by a little creaking of branches to one side. And Arkan, you look over and you see this pale-skinned man with this like dark green robe, hooded robe, with an ebony wood bow, and he's got it knocked but not drawn, yet still pointed in your direction. And he makes his presence known.
Tane, you should have accepted my offer of a guide. You seem to be lost if your path is south.
He looks at you, looks at Eel, says, what's his demeanor gonna be in all of this? I think he says, what's a good way to phrase it? Yeah, he says, I am merely on pilgrimage. My path leads many ways.
Well, it doesn't seem to be leading you much this way.
He takes a step forwards.
I take a step forward as well, and I've got like both hands on my swords.
He looks you up and down and says, in Low Realm, I don't believe we've been acquainted.
I reply, in Low Realm. Yes, we haven't.
He looks to you, Arkan, with a kind of shrug, almost like you do the honors.
Yeah, it's like you're the boss.
Do you introduce him, or do you?
Yeah, I say, Viper, this man is Tane. I have some of his money.
Odd
Damn.
thing to boast about. But hello, Tane. I'm Viper. May I ask what you're doing in such remote parts other than your alleged pilgrimage?
He addresses Arkan again and says, in Brakani, says, communication seems scarce among your people.
I know Burkani, isn't it?
No, you know the other one.
Oh, Vaspin.
You know
Or,
Aspen.
yeah. Damn it.
Viper, what did you ask him?
I reply to
Yeah, you tell me.
I
feel like, and then, like I don't really need a response there. I was just checking that you tell me, right?
Yeah,
We're doing translation games.
Yeah.
And I turn back to him and I say, no, I think even if I had found the time to tell Viper about our conversations, I think her question is the right one to be asking.
He he says, like I said, pilgrimage. I'm interested in these fruits, remember? So I came looking for their source.
Hmm. Well, I believe it is best if you turn around and no longer continuing to look for the source.
This is a free land, is it not?
It is, but in free lands there are still situations and things you should not do. Free does not necessarily mean free, if you understand what I mean.
It's quite a dry laugh, and says, says in low realm again, says, for the benefit of you, since you weren't at the table last time, your imperial jurisdiction holds no bearing on me.
And why may that be?
Because I am not of the realm.
You think that matters?
Of course
He has
it
a point.
We're blessed by the dragons, and this man is.
This man has as much right to be here as we do. We are all strangers in this land.
We are all trampling on holy land, are we not?
Well, then maybe we should not trample on said holy land and walk towards town.
Viper, maybe Tane is right. Maybe we should. Maybe there's a compromise to be found here.
I could ask
Let
the
us-
same of you.
Let us accompany Tane to visit Masata, and then escort him back to town so that he doesn't become lost.
I see why that yields us absolutely no benefit.
Like I think in High Realm, I'm gonna say, Viper, he seems intent on visiting this place, and he's circled back round for miles once already in order to come here, without it seeming like he was on his way. If we let him go, then he will come back here. We should.
Nice.
If he is to visit Masata, then at least we can watch and see what he wants.
I say in High Realm. There is a possibility that, let's say we accompany him, he does not do what he fully set out and intended to do. My intent was to cause a little bit of a fuss, we part ways, and then potentially either I or Eel could follow after him and see what he's truly up to.
While they are having this conversation, I'm going to say, I'm going to turn to Tane and smile, and in Low Realm I say, I don't suppose I'm the first monk you've stumbled across in the forest today.
Ah. So there is a reason for your being out here as well.
Yes, we are searching for a lost member of the flock.
I've seen no other baldies today, if that's what you're asking, besides you.
Shame. I'll turn towards turn back towards the village and start talking about the view to Tane while these guys are having a conversation in High Realm.
I think but for like her own little shits and giggles, adds like randomly just drops Tane's name in High Realm.
Right.
I mean, he could clearly already tell you're talking about him by the way that you're not talking.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I just add extra things in there, just for
Okay.
the flair of it.
You're just being a
Right.
dick.
Gotta
Language dick.
get your kicks off somehow.
All right.
can't believe Viper gets off to being an asshole.
Seems pretty about that trait though.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
like I think it's best if we don't follow him, Arcan. I think I think it's best if we don't all accompany him. I believe he would not say out his true plans if he was, well, followed by the Wyld hunt.
And like Arcan says, I think he like keeps his expression neutral. And he says, "Do what you will. This plan is not a bad one."
Just kind of nod my head, and then I turn to the man who's a topic of discussion and say, "Well, we've cleared. You're fully allowed to go and visit Masada. Go freely and walk the earth. Maybe I should point you in the direction if you so wish."
Please do.
And then I point him in the direction of where Masada lives. I'll say.
Lives. Yeah, sure. I think at that point, Eel is just like, Viper, are we forgetting our manners? We should show a man to a destination, not merely.
No, we have. Well, I think I can show him. I think used to have more important matters to discuss within the town and to keep an eye on things in case things go awry. You know, the situation down there seems to be rather volatile. Plus, you just have to look for the monk still.
I think out of character, I think you're definitely the wrong person to do this. I think it's like
I have
Eel who we should...
orienteering.
No, Eel is the correct. Like Eel is way better
Yeah.
at stealthy.
I'm
Mhm.
also really good at orienteering. So.
I'm pretty sure we've got like the same, or roughly the same stealthy skill.
I'm B3 with call on.
Oh, I'm B5.
Oh, hang on. Like, I think, yeah. Arcan is going to.
Scout.
Yeah, Arcan's gonna like order you all to follow him back to town, and he says, Tane, it's late. If you don't want to spend the night out in the forest, there's a trail off to the east of the of Masata's realm. I think the instructions we've given you should be enough to see you the rest of the way there. But the trail leads to a small camp. Not a bad place to spend the night. I will ask you to see me again when you're back in town. Well, I expect you will be back in town.
He says, I thank you for the information, but you've caught my curiosity now. Really, what is this about the monk? He says, turning to you again, Eel.
Well, I'm sure were he here, he would be exactly the person you'd wish to see. He was originally keeper of this place.
We're being really nice to him with the information we're giving him.
It's almost as if I intend to do something with this information. No, yeah, it says if he were here, you would be exactly he would be exactly the person you'd wish to speak to. He was a a confidant to Masato. He was the appointed member of the church who took care of him. Unfortunately, coupled in with a handful of the things that have been going on, he fell afoul of some rather unpleasant ruffians, and has been missing ever since. And well, we were hoping to restore him to his position as a as guardian of this place. He
My understanding, if I may, is that this happened a while ago, did it not?
yes, but it is our belief that he is.
How the
Still
fuck
active.
does he know the first thing about this?
Well, you told him. You told him.
No, I didn't tell him
bunch
shit
of
about the
stuff
monk.
in a
I
gambling
didn't tell him
game.
shit about the monk.
No, about events transpiring surrounding Masato.
Yeah,
Oh, right, yeah.
he's just deducing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says, "What hopes do you have really of finding a madman in a forest?"
Well, if he has received the same training as I have, he has certainly survived out here.
I forget they teach you all sorts of. Shit, what's the word? Is it atrocities?
But
No, not atrocities.
atrocities is terrible, terrible things.
Yeah, isn't that a thing that ascetic monks do as well?
What?
No, I don't know what you mean.
Like when a monk, I don't know, stands on his tiptoes for a month or whatever, just to like prove his faith.
Oh,
Like
I mean, yeah, you could call that an atrocity.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think it's an atrocity. I know what you mean, but I don't think
it begins
that's
with
the
A, but yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I guess asceticism's like I don't think that's
Yes.
actually the word though.
No, I can't.
But
Anyway.
he's
Oh,
insulting the acts of devotion, claiming them to
Yes.
be cruelties.
Yeah, he's like, I guess going mad in a jungle is just another way to prove your faith.
Well, let us be off then. Well, if we have nothing further to discuss.
He says, no, wait, there's plenty more to discuss.
No, you seem to be in a rush, sir. You would not be out here if you wished to have pleasant talk
I
in the
wouldn't be out here
jungle.
enjoying the view if I was in a rush, and neither would you.
Hmm.
I mean, if you're concerned about the time, Viper, we can walk and talk.
Well, I would rather us walk and talk in completely separate, different directions.
Oh, come, we're going in the same direction.
Yeah.
Are you forgetting Arcan's orders, Eel?
Not at all.
He said we must head back to town.
I point back towards town, which is also the same direction as Vasata's. Well, like if we go roughly, yeah, because like one is off to the east and one is off.
So we can keep going with him for a bit, and then keep going, and he'll go off to Masato, and we'll.
Yeah, eventually he'll turn right, we turn left.
Yeah.
Right, well, I'm just Viper's lobbying for let's just leave this man alone.
Yeah. Well, this is the most chatty you've ever seen Eel.
Yeah.
So you can probably guess that something's up right now.
He says, what would he say? Yeah, he says this in Bracani to Arkan, says, I sense your snake wants to bite me.
There are not many people I've ever met who she did not feel this way towards. I wouldn't take it as too much of a personal compliment.
And then he announces in Low Realm, Fine, let's walk and talk.
Yes. It is always a shame when one of our order, particularly one stationed out in a place like this, goes missing. Especially as they often take a lot of the knowledge and lore of a place with them. It is very difficult to rebuild a calendar after a loss of a monk. Especially in such a remote location, where the realm is not so stoic in its bookkeeping.
I'm gonna have him make a foreign languages test on High Realm, just quickly.
Fuck.
Okay.
No! We established he doesn't know before.
No, we never actually established it. It was heavily implied. Like
Yeah.
there's several times where he ought to have realized or ought to have shown something, right? Because we had the discussion of like, oh yes, I'm going to cheat in this round, like openly in front of him in High Realm, and we'd have like we ought to have had the opportunity to like. We ought to have had the opportunity to notice his facial expression changing if that had been a thing.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's hazy enough that he could know it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
I'm totally down for him.
or he's like-
bullshitting us this whole time that he doesn't understand us.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
Could,
But, like,
are we
I d-
able to, like, increase his op?
I don't think it's fair for him to have the skill learnt unless that's already on his like sheet as a thing that you've like like. I don't think foreign languages as a skill is.
Yeah, I suppose
No.
it's because he's a nomad. I almost think he should have it, though maybe not very high.
Like, I don't think you should necessarily know high realm.
Well, isn't
'Cause-
this up to the dice to decide? Because
Yeah,
even if he has foreign languages trained, High Realm is not a common language.
Yeah, I think High Realm is a difficult language, which is Ob 3.
Like, I know languages, but God help me if I tried to speak Mandarin Chinese.
Yeah.
If that's your ruling.
Actually,
I feel like this might be better as like a response to a test. It's like, no, he spoke high roll the whole time, and this happens, right? Maybe because that's the reason that this matters, right? Is like we've just discussed our plans to like come back and see where he goes stealthily.
yeah.
And like what this means is that like the failure for that stealthy roll isn't he notices us, it's like he knows where you were the whole time and has out stealthed you and now ambushes you or whatever he wants to do in that position, right?
Oh yeah, maybe.
If we're rolling forwards that far in time.
Yeah, I suppose let's. The reason I brought it up is because I was like, maybe it'd be better if we all just start talking the same language.
I think it's too much of a like it. Yeah,
but it also plays into what has already been said in front of Tane. I think okay, we'll leave it open for now, but let's continue the conversation as we did with the gambling thing, where like we're switching between when we need to, but generally speaking, we can all talk to each other.
Yeah,
but we've also established that Arcan knows can speak low realm, but just not any high class concepts.
Yeah, very very basic. It takes
So,
me a lot. So
as long as we're not talking about anything complicated, it doesn't matter.
Well, it's like I have enough that with extra translation from one of you two, we can have this conversation and not have to worry about who's translating.
It's when it goes to Bacani and I can't talk.
Yes.
is important.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, what was the last thing that you said, Eel?
I was just talking. I was espousing how sad it is that when a monk goes missing, a lot of the lore and
Yes, you
knowledge
have
is
to make
lost,
all of
particularly when the
the
bookkeeping is not so
bookkeeping and so
well
on.
upkept.
Yeah. He says, pardon my blasphemy, but where I come from, there's very little that between a man and his God.
Well, with the Immaculate Calendar, there is even less.
I beg to differ. There's an entire organization.
Oh, is there?
Just look at you and look at myself.
I smile.
Hi. No, I would perhaps beg to differ. I think the Immaculate Order makes the gods more approachable. It almost goes so far as to humanize them,
What
to
is
make
there
them
approachable
part
about
of
God?
the daily order of things.
I do not see what's approachable about a God.
That's because you've never had to deal with one.
Never had the real drive to go out and see my local God because the Immaculate Faith have made them so friendly. Would they offer me tea and biscuits?
I've met two gods, and I did not need the help of a monk to meet them.
Well,
Although
they
your
offer you.
help in talking to him and to Masato was greatly appreciated.
Well,
You know.
Arcan, did the God offer you tea and biscuits? I believe the Immaculate Philosophy helps in that regard.
I think at this point, Eel is just sort of just like listening to this passive aggressive bullshit, and it's just sort of like just sort of turns to Viper and is just like, Viper, have you never spoken to a lauded aunt or uncle or grandfather or grandmother?
No, I've done every opportunity to avoid my family.
But come, you must have been to some family gathering where you met a patriarch. The patriarchs of your house, somebody powerful that you looked up to. Did you not communicate with them in a manner that was amicable but respectful?
I have no clear memory of discussing anything with any of my patriarchs or talking to them directly. I have kept myself to myself for the most part.
Perhaps then you are a bad example. I know, Arkan, you have done so, no doubt.
I often sat on my grandmother's lap as a child, and she fed me food from her spoon. I think I even met my great grandmother once, but I was too young to remember it. I've met several gods. You know about that. I don't know why we're bringing up important people.
As simply as an example, the Immaculate Order sort of the role of the Immaculate Order is to take the gods from their pedestals and make them more like honored family members rather than objects of worship. They are useful, they are functional, but they are not things to be perhaps venerated in quite the same way. They are to be respected, they are to be honored, but it is also important that they be approachable and to know their place.
Arkan is looking really confused and
to
looks
offer
to Tane
tea.
to try and change the subject. Um,
Tane is listening very intently to Eel, and says,
Oh,
and we're all walking and talking at this
Yeah.
point
Yeah.
together. Yeah. Says, I find it interesting that you view it that way, though I suppose I should expect no less from one so immersed in it as yourself. Your viper indeed seems a bad example, and I have met other dynasts in the past who seem to follow suit. It occurs to me that your faith is little more than a tool to subjugate those beneath you, and that the people who benefit from it most, like the dynasts of the realm, they care little for what it teaches and only for what it benefits them.
Well, such is the natural order of things.
Is it?
Yes.
Any man looks in the positives of a deal.
If you want to build better family bonds, let me tell you a story. When I was traveling north, further north than even where I was born, I met with a tribe, a nomadic tribe. They wandered around moorlands, moving from lake to lake. Among them, there was a shaman, and every time they needed to move lake, they would conjure up one of their forefathers, a ghostly figure, who would tell them where the next freshest lake was. That kind of connection is not the sort of thing that you see with the Order.
Do we need to be dredging up ancient ghosts of the past?
Of course, it is the basis of all religion.
I guess so, but I do not need my great great grandfather to tell me where to find the local biscuits.
there is a great difference between talking to ghosts and to the gods. After all, ghosts are merely men, but dead. And the gods are something greater and more worthy of respect.
Ah,
How
but
do
they
you
do
know
not
that?
necessarily have to be.
I missed what Tane said.
Tane said, how do you know that?
After all, we are the princes of the earth, and
I've
if they...
spoken to them. They have told me. They have. Alat has plans for my people.
And you
He's
believe
worked
them?
on his. Yes. Yes. He's worked on his plans for thousands of years. It has made us strong. He's given us good things.
Well,
If you put your faith in results, then what differs from the ghost who can reliably tell the tribe where to go next?
well... Anyway,
I think he continues his lecture since nobody answers, and says, people are far too quick to put their faith in the gods simply because they are gods.
well,
What
I
is it you
agree.
want to talk to Masatra about?
I don't know whether I want to talk to him. I merely wished to see him, or see his domain.
Why?
I think that much is obvious. Man this travelled searches for knowledge.
Seems like such dull knowledge to see a god's domain.
Not Not at all.
Everyone scoffs.
Tane has honoured us with one story. Perhaps I will tell another.
Please do.
There comes a story from the realm of two gods who were once great friends. Both of them were very wise and very powerful. One of them was so wise his knowledge could only be contained within two heads. And the other had so much power that he grew instead 6 arms. And they accomplished many great things together. In fact, they did such a good job of working together, they became an inseparable team. The god with 2 heads would watch out for danger, while the god with the 6 arms would perform all of the tasks that were needed, that required strength of will or strength of force. Until one day they had a falling out, and the gods went their separate ways. And for a while they went well together. Until one day, the god with 6 arms was stabbed in his sleep, and the god with 2 heads was crushed by a rockfall. The moral of the story is that whilst it is all well and good to be wise and powerful, it is also well and good to know your place in the order of things. If you are good at one thing, then that is the job you should do, and you should leave the other tasks to others.
I believe that notion touches on what some refer to as dharma, knowing one's place in the world, though I understand the concept is more complicated than simply that.
Well, I believe I am firmly square in my position in this world. To a degree.
Yet you would not know your place when told it.
None of us 3 have a place in this world.
Well, I know simply that I am a Dragonblood, so therefore I have a place higher than most. And such as being a realm Dragonblood, that puts me above some others.
Again, I don't understand. Viper. It's not true. It's not that we're above them. We're outside of it. We have no place in it anymore.
Are you entirely sure?
I was told.
By whom?
Someone who would know much better than you would.
And who would this person be?
One of the gods, a record keeper.
Ah, yes, the gods, the most trusted source of information.
Aha, finally the snake says something interesting. That's exactly my point.
Would you not refer to me as the snake? Or should I refer to you as the odd man in the forest? I believe that maybe I'm an appropriate title for you.
Oh, both descriptions are accurate.
Yes,
My
and the
point is
slimy
that
one
we
would
take
also fit you.
the word of the gods too often at face value. They have motivations like men. They can be deceitful. This one who spoke to you, Arkan, what did they say?
Hornavink, I asked him what Alart's plan for me was, why he'd granted me salvation. And he told me that Alat's plan for me had been for me to die a slave, or that was as far as fate had seen. That whatever path I was traveling, it was of no interest to fate or the gods.
Oh, I believe you merely. I believe that your god did not think.
Viper, shut up.
What, am I wrong? I doubt your god writes down in his little book of things.
Viper! I did not ask.
Oddly touched on that, aren't you?
Would you like to know what I think about that?
I
It is
believe
a
we're going
most
to hear it
tragic
anyway.
tale, I must admit. I think that your god did have a plan for you, and that may be true, but their plan for you was an agenda, something that furthered their own goal. And by you turning away, by you grabbing control of your own destiny, you disappointed them. And so they don't care about you anymore, or so they say. But you have a gift now. You can lead yourself wherever you want to lead.
Well, which god is it who guides your destiny then? If I'm free.
He smiles and says, I do not believe you have quite yet earned the right to ask that question. And I do not think that my answering it will mean the same thing to you as it does to me.
Well. Or can you simply just rose above your god's control? No longer stuck to the whims of such a being.
Well, shall I tell you what I think, Tane?
Please do.
I think it is a shame that our first confrontation was at dice and not at philosophy.
More riveting conversation.
Still, I believe we could discuss this all night, but this is your turning.
I feel like we should roll here. Like a versus doctrine test or something.
Okay.
What? Yeah, but what were we trying to establish
he
here?
wants to, like, his intent is to plant this seed in your mind that, like, that there are other, let's say, valid interpretations of the world that are clearly valid because he has, like, first-hand experience of them working. And whether, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, he wants to just kind of like plant this idea of just, you know, don't. It's not just don't trust the gods. It's like, it's almost don't trust anything. But at the same time, like, you should appreciate that Yeah, I suppose he's trying to instill foreign doctrine on you, right? It's like
Arcan refuses. Like, this is one place. Like, this is important enough to Arcan's core beliefs. Like, I think like Arcan dismisses this conversation with something like, if you want to persuade me of that what you say is all these examples, all these facts, these tell me what you believe, right? Tell me, meet me again and talk to me in detail. Share the same things that I have shared. I regret telling everyone what I said in that meeting with the god.
which, by the way, is news to Eel.
Yeah.
It was
I'm aware.
Yeah, okay.
it was private. I should not have said it.
Do you believe I've played a trick, sir?
No, I think Arcan's done with this conversation, right?
Okay.
Like, if he wants to come back and talk more in future, go ahead. But like the rest can have their own responses, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, let us turn and be on our way. Have a safe trip.
I suppose at this point you're all like standing on that stairwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on like
Yeah.
the stairs to the junction between the road.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you find what you're looking for, Tane. And perhaps if you find what we are looking for, then maybe you will let us know.
He squints and smiles and then nods and says, "Thank you. I hope I do too. Safe travels."
Safe travels.
Safe travels.
Okay. So nobody wants to have a doctrine test.
Nope.
Nope.
We got into some interesting conversation though. I think that was
We
fun.
did.
I'm gonna
That was fun.
stalk after that man later, though.
Yeah, because I was going to say, the moment we are sufficiently far away that I am satisfied that we are out of earshot and he is long gone, I will turn to Viper and say, well, that was very informative,
What was?
that entire conversation.
What part of it?
I believe I have more of an understanding of what it is that he is looking for. And I believe he may still yet be useful to us.
And what is it he's looking for?
He is looking for an answer, for more information on what it is that is affecting his country in this way. And I do not believe Masato will give it to him. And if my reasoning is correct, the next place he will go is to seek perhaps our errant monk.
Well, I'm particularly interested in following him either way. I'd like to see what he gets up to. Seems like an interesting enough person.
Well, I do not doubt that Arkan will agree with you on that much, but do you remember we are here to complete 2 goals, and I do not intend to leave either of them incomplete. Just, we will work in the meantime, but do not lose track of the time.
I will be careful. Don't worry about that.
I don't say anything, but she is concerned, because the last time we sent you to do anything, you almost died.
Arcan turns to Eel and says, the last time we
I've already snuck off.
Yeah,
No,
Eel,
let him say something.
Eel,
Don't
you
be
go
too much
too.
of a dick.
Eel, you go too. if both of you are missing, I should be able to delay the trial.
The trial is not for another few days.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, we're fine.
Yeah.
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 Both of you go.
Oh no, I think Viper protests on that account and saying, I think it's easier if I just go alone.
It's mechanically speaking, it's not. So, you know.
Well, mechanically, in-game speaking.
No, Scott. I don't want you to go off alone and get murdered
I will
because
not
you
get
see this guy
murdered.
doing magic. Like, that's dumb. Let's just send you with a second. Also, it's more interesting if there's two people. Like, you know, like there's two people. Both go. That's the orders.
All right.
Yep.
I'm
gonna do what I'm told.
Where we should have him make the foreign languages test.
Fuck. I mean, I guess because it could make it much more easy or much more difficult for the sneakiness test.
He will either be aware, like know to be looking out for you, or not.
Yeah. Okay. So this is like a linked test for his spotting us against our stealthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So I think. Yeah. So I think High Realm is
Uncommon language or whatever you said.
yeah, I think it's actually like a complex language because it's. I imagine it kind of on par with, Mandarin or Sanskrit.
Yeah,
Like
it's a
one of the
language
harder
that's formed
languages
from a
in the
completely
world.
different culture, so it probably doesn't even use the same principles.
Yeah. Whereas something like Low Realm is an oversimplification. It's kind of like the is it katakana in Japanese? The like purely phonetic type. Yeah.
Yeah, and it probably has like bastardized words that are just
the
whatever the generic word is.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be Ob 4 for him. I'd like to vouch for a bonus dice just from like him picking, like tuning in from conversation that has been had over the last two scenes involving Tane.
I would say that you'd probably get an advantage die from knowing parts of Low Realm, which would help.
Too. Like,
which would help in some aspects.
Yeah, he can have a bonus dice for that.
And I think he's gonna fork ancient languages because High Realm has its roots in Old Realm.
Sure.
Yeah, this is me kind of just trying to postulate how these are all connected more than anything. There isn't a lot else that you can really fork into language.
No,
tests, so
he
I think
shouldn't be
that's it.
forking more than that. You're
No,
completely right.
I think that's it. Yeah,
That's good.
He's not going to spend Persona. Ob 4.
Oh,
He's going to spend a Fate though.
Oh, this fucker. This fucker.
Yeah.
Okay, he succeeds.
All right. So he knows.
Mark that difficult foreign languages test.
Yeah. So it's not.
He knows, but he's complacent, basically.
Yeah, he's been playing along up till now.
So he gets no bonus dice on his observation roll.
Yeah,
because of his complacency.
Yeah. Okay, so what does he wanders off, and then so what does like sneaking after him look like?
I mean, it's us following him, but sneaky.
I suppose, yeah. Maybe it's for me to describe then, because he heads up to the top of the shrine leading into Masata's crypt, or whatever you want to call it. Abandoned quarry.
Yeah.
And yeah, I suppose because it relates to what may or may not happen next, let's have us make the test at the top of these stairs.
Okay. So, calculating dice pools.
I feel like Eel has the better time because Scott, you've got a 5 in stealthy, right?
Yep, B5,
So-
and I can
so you
open
give-
that.
Yeah, so you give 2 dice in help.
That
So
means-
that we would be at
yeah,
5 dice with a
with a
Yeah.
colon.
with a
yeah.
call on.
And he's got a call. So you're probably better helping here.
I'd also like to call back to when I made the test to persuade the animals, because if I recall correctly, I got success over the orb in that, but I want to kind of say that one of the things that we're doing to be stealthy is the fact that the animals are now okay with our presence, and we don't have to avoid disturbing the wildlife.
Okay. Sure. I don't know.
It wasn't
Was it a
much.
suasion test?
Was it just suasion test? No, I don't believe so.
Do you remember what kind of test it was?
What do you mean? Like, which test was this? Wasn't this the like big ugly truth test that I did with Nasata, right? To bully him to use the animals to help us. Or is there something else you're thinking of?
Oh, yeah, I guess that one would work as well.
I don't know that there was a
Yeah,
second one, was there?
It would
'Cause
have been around that time.
Oh no,
I-
because you did a persuasion test. Like all the animals gathered up round you.
Yeah, because
and,
I
like,
stood
in your
stood on a
face.
rock and talked to them.
Yeah, that would have been. I feel like that would have been suasion or doctrine or something. No, that was definitely doctrine because it's like how is
Oh,
the
yeah,
correct way
it
to
was a
assuage
doctrine,
the-
not a suasion.
Yeah, so I don't know why it's relevant what skill he used.
Well, just so that I can find it in the chat.
Okay.
I genuinely don't remember that test.
That's fine. We can just move on.
Oh, wasn't it Emperelia?
Oh God, it was. You're right.
It might have been.
In which case, it's bugged and I can't see
It's
what
bugged
you
and you can't
rolled.
see what I rolled.
Hooray! Okay,
But it was
well,
something ridiculous against like Orb 2.
maybe, yeah. I'm gonna say that the help that the animals gave you no longer rides.
Okay.
Like they helped you out with the Catholics. This is a new situation.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanted it to be that like they don't get in our way, but I mean, yeah, that can also be just
Yeah, I
not
mean,
negative
they
dice.
neither benefit nor hinder you
Okay, cool. I guess I'm just rolling this against
against his observation.
Which do you want to roll that first?
Yeah. It's gonna be surprisingly high because I know who this guy actually is.
Okay.
Or I know his background more specifically. Or mentally, I haven't properly burned him yet.
Yeah.
So I think success here is, and he's the defender.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the defender. So success here is for you. Success is you follow him and you see what he's up to. If you fail, then he stops you and confronts you at the top of those stairs again. And
Okay.
his demeanor will have changed a bit, I think.
Okay.
Like his attitude towards you, he'll be a bit more aggressive, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Three. Okay.
Okay, so you need 4 successes.
Cool.
Oh,
Well, it's technically odd 3, but yeah. So it's a draw. So
Well, hold on.
no,
Hold
no,
on.
but you
no,
have
no,
a
no.
column.
You can no, you don't have to roll. Colon's secondary use is you just break ties in your own
Tiebreaking.
favour.
Yeah.
Like it is a rarely used rule because it's so much less useful most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Um,
I'll break the tie in my favor.
I'd
But
forgotten
you just
about
you
that.
just win.
Okay. All right. I will. In that case, I will narrate what you watch Tane doing, and we'll leave the session there.
Cool.
So you follow Tane up to the top of the stairs, and then he begins to weave down and through this path that you followed. You notice.
Ah.
Well, it's dark now, so he. Oh wait, that would probably give you bonus dice to stealthy, not the other way around.
I feel like it would give everyone enough than even like it doesn't really.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So I guess the thing that you notice in following him, he doesn't like light a torch or anything.
Yeah.
But he also doesn't seem to be like stumbling through the dark. Whereas you
Okay.
guys have to be quite careful with your steps, especially when you begin to follow him down into the sort of crypty area of this shrine.
Yeah, where there's quite loose footing.
Yeah. He walks quite intently, and a few times down in the trenches, you almost lose track of him. Then he like comes back out up a slope, and he's near the hillside that leads to Masato, covered in trees and the fruits and stuff.
Yeah.
You notice there are eyes leering at you out of corners as you're passing. Masato knows that you're here.
Yeah.
Most likely. Well, maybe. Some animals seem to know that you're here at least.
He is at least vaguely aware.
Yeah, there's a peripheral sense, let's say.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tane heads up, to this hillside. But he doesn't go straight up the hill. He first spends quite a while, like a good maybe 10 minutes or so, examining the old quarry side, feeling the rocks, examining the moss that's like covered parts of it in the dark, and then turns to the hillside and walks up to like the perimeter. I believe I said this kind of looked like a big mound of dirt that had kind of overgrown at one point.
Yes.
So he walks up to the edge and reaches one of these trees, or reaches for one of these one of these fruit things hanging off these withered-ish looking trees. Is about to pick one, and then there's like a weird groany noise like you heard the first time you were here. He stops, reaching, pulls back, pulls out a small blade from his belt. Just has it on hand.
Are we talking small, like couple of inches, or
Yeah, like maybe 8 inches max, curved. You observe him. Yeah, he pulls back for a moment, pulls this blade out, looks around for a moment, like to kind of think sort of where'd that come from, and then he like looks up at the hill, strokes his chin a bit, and then you watch him. He cuts his left hand with the knife
right?
and squeezes a few drops of blood onto one of the roots of this tree. And there's another kind of groan, but a slightly more pleasant sound this time. Then he reaches up again and plucks one of these fruit.
Okay.
And like pockets it, or like folds it in a handkerchief and puts it in a satchel.
Mm-hmm.
Then he begins to tread up the hillside. And it's at this point where I think I think this changes the situation slightly and maybe gives you an opportunity to act, which we can build on for next session. As he's walking up the hill, you watch him like lug this rucksack off his back, and from like he sort of undoes a knot on the side and then pulls out this large bardiche, which is a long sort of two-handed curved axe.
Okay. So is he sort of like brandishing this like aggressively, or?
Yeah, well, it's hard to tell in the dark, but he's moving with intent, let's say.
Okay.
Well, he's just about to walk into the little hole where like Masata lives, right? And he's just taken an axe out of his backpack, right?
Yeah.
I think this is maybe chase after him o'clock. This fucker. I'm so glad we failed the roll, because I had this like, I know you wouldn't do too much, like you wouldn't kill Masata off screen, right? Like unless we fucked up some roll,
Yeah,
because that would be unfair.
Fucked everything up.
But like, I still was like, well, he's clearly going there, right? Man.
That's where we'll leave the session.
Cool.
Dun dun dun.
Unfortunately, that leaves Arcanet in the forest doing nothing again.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, I could have come with you and helped on the stealthy. To be honest, I maybe should have done, but like, eh.
It didn't make sense from a story perspective, but oh well.
Well, especially after you like scolded him and felt bad about Doctrine.
Arcan is definitely not in a helping mood right there. He's in a like.
Yeah.
This is one of Arcan's sulking moods. Man, didn't you say at the start it was like, let's do a short session?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Oh well.
Sweet.
I got
It's
really
fine.
into it. I really enjoyed.
We tricked you.
some
Nice.
of our conversations.
Congratulations, guys.
I definitely didn't lean massively into something that Will said to me the other day for that.
I say the other day, it was like 2 weeks ago, but yeah.
Belief time.
Belief
Yeah.
time, Arta time, yay!
Yay. Who first?
I'll go first.
All right.
So I definitely achieved my belief 1. I visited Catholic Monsieur and had him inform the hunt of our intent. to the
Yes.
point where I got us some help.
Persona.
Can I say right now? One of the people who should be nominated for Fate for Humor this session is Eel, because that was just some top quality farcical.
It kind of was.
Rob had a few good jokes as well out of game
Oh,
this session, so I'm inclined to say yeah on that.
Yeah.
Uh,
I did quite enjoy the anathema "Do not run on your schedule."
yeah.
Belief number 2. With Arcan's help, I did seek the monk. I didn't find him, but I did seek him.
And Arkan involved the Northerner.
He did, yeah. Which was not what I was expecting. Yeah. And I would like to actually angle quite heavily for Belief 3, because the Hunt's greatest weapons are swiftness and subterfuge. We did follow this guy, and as a result, might actually have a chance of stopping his nefarious plan.
Yeah, Fate.
Cool. I didn't play into my Instinct 1, for sure, because I actually did the opposite.
You did a lot of talking this session.
I did a lot of talking because I was hoping to get stuff out of him, which I kind of did.
I mean, yeah, okay. I guess I changed a belief, right? I'm not going to change an instinct. I need to keep bullying you to change your instincts as well.
I didn't really play that much to Ideologue.
Yeah.
I feel like you ought to be rewarded in some way for literally being a priest and having big priest conversations.
Yeah.
And you
I
stuck to...
almost want to like it. You could have angled harder on Instinct 2 as well to like use that conversation and like use the whole thing to, like at the end of the walk, just turn it into a like lesson for Arkan.
I kind of did, I kind of did with my "let me tell a story now," because it was about even the gods must know their place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll take Fate for one of them.
Fate for one of those two. Yeah.
Yeah. The rest of them I didn't really play that much into.
Pliant.
I didn't go along with anybody this session.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
I did the exact opposite.
Yeah,
I was like, we're going to do things my way.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's good. I'll take a Persona and 3 Fate.
Nice. All right, Viper.
14 Fate.
Wow, what the fuck is with you people holding Fate?
I keep passing my rolls.
Just spend it.
I don't make any rolls because I have big long conversations at the end of which I don't make a roll.
At the end of which you're just like, nah, bye.
Offering rolls to you and you're like, nah.
I mean, that one, okay, that last one, I really, like, there's nothing I gain from taking a roll there, right?
Fair.
And it's really cool to me.
Well, it was more...
Yeah.
It was more between Eel and Tane, I felt.
Yeah.
I guess I played into Belief 1, the realm stands above all else.
Yeah, you kept being...
Yes, I agree.
You were utterly obnoxious about that, so yeah, I would
well,
give you...
I'm playing into my belief. Nothing.
No, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a thing.
This is how you get Fate.
I've wrote a note for myself, which is like, at some point, if I get the time, convince Viper to be less bad about her religion. Like,
Viper doesn't even have a religion.
It's not even my religion. I don't even care about your religion. You ought to be less bad about, like, seriously.
It's like, I'm not a Catholic, but you're a bad Catholic.
Yeah.
Belief 2, I think I did complete. Like, Eel had a plan to find the monk, right? And I aided her with my skills. We didn't find the monk, but I did aid her with my skills. I completed that.
Yes.
I did complete my belief. Because my intent was not to find a monk; it was simply to aid Eel.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did roll for it. He did fail, but he did roll for it.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Um,
led
No, I
one
was
of the
just- I was
hardest
just
rolls in the
rereading
game.
the
So.
first part again. Yeah.
So I didn't do anything with my belief 3. None of my instincts really came up.
I
I will not. I don't think I will not yield to those who are not my peers. Really.
I felt like, well, you definitely did that with Tane, I suppose.
Yeah. Yes.
Whether it got you in trouble or not, though.
I guess it kind of did, in a way. He
mm,
does not like me at all. Just trouble in the sense.
mm,
I don't think it directly resulted in trouble, though.
yeah.
So nothing there.
I think not. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if any of my traits really came up. Skinny, stringent, heroic, or feudal didn't really come up.
Man, I keep forgetting the definition of stringent.
either harsh with money
Strict.
or very strict.
Yeah, just strict. I wasn't very particularly strict.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I don't think he did that.
You're gonna have a lot of chance to show these traits and instincts in the trial. Like,
Yes.
you can definitely just like spend the entire time playing to your traits and instincts and
Yeah.
making life difficult for yourself in that situation.
Just to get as much art
Just
as you can.
object every time.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could grind like 4-5 fate out of that.
I
Probably,
object. I object on the grounds that this is objectionable.
Like the judge talks up and you're like, "Excuse me, I am a dragonborn, and I was the king."
Yeah.
Not saying that, the dragons are the best, but
All right. And Arkan.
May everything I do exalt my name and Alarts. I'm gonna take a fate for this one
Yeah.
I think so too.
because it was really important. Yeah,
I think it especially important in that final moment with Tane where
Yes.
you got angry. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Belief 2. I have found out what Panther's plans are.
yes.
And I do not like his plans at all.
Well,
Well, what are
if
you gonna
Tane
do
kills
about
Masata, then he won't.
That's very true. If that happens, then I'll be all aboard the Panther train. I'll have to be. Belief 3. I was going to change the text of the first half.
Yeah, I wrote a thing in your belief special when you said it, in case you forgot,
Oh yeah.
which
cool.
was the people do not need a monk to praise Masata.
Oh, that's the best way of saying it. Yeah.
So did you want to switch to that and then own a
Yes.
fate for it?
Yeah, I do. That is a belief that I was playing to in multiple scenes in this session.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so too.
Instinct 1. I was a hair away. I was like, if this guy, I think I don't understand the insult he just gave to Eel. I think that's maybe one that could have flown. Like, I think I was considering it. I was like, was
Yeah.
that an insult?
Yeah.
But he didn't quite step over the edge there. And then
One
I
of
was
these days.
one of these days. I mean, like clearly my presence, clearly having the instinct is enough of a threat
Yeah.
that it's keeping it from happening, which is. And then my other two instincts did not come up. Traits. I would like a fate for easily exploited. I
Yes.
I have agreed to a thing that I should not have agreed to. I have
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that might be it.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
Though you did spend the evening learning about Eel's religion.
I did. Maybe.
Not fate-worthy, but you
Not
did
fate,
it.
man, but I did it. Actually, we got to see that on screen.
Yeah.
And actually,
Cool.
you got a test out of it, which is better than practice.
Yeah.
That's true.
Cool. So that's 3 fate, 1 persona. I spent 1 fate this session, so I'm up to 13. Nice.
Oh, I've overtaken you in the fate race.
Fuck.
We'll get some duels of wits or fights soon enough. Hopefully.
We need a new trait for so I can start earning fate more quickly.
Viper's the one that's really fate starving. Have trait carried over.
Because I like to spend mine on like these fuckers who just hoard.
Well, like you have fewer traits as well because you missed a trait vote since you changed character.
In fairness, my trait that I gained was one that is more fitting visually and like a thing that I ought to have than one I've been earning lots of fate
You have
of.
earned fate off it twice though.
I have. Oh yeah, I have. Okay. Yeah.
So even then, you know.
I mean, most of my fate comes from earning easily exploited roughly once per session.
Yeah, something like that. All right, cool. Last bit is humor. So I think we already decided that went to Rob. Did
Yep.
you already mark that, Rob?
What was that? Sorry.
Humor.
Humor. No, I did not.
Okay.
15 fate.
I don't think there was any right skill, right time. Really?
No, not really.
No. Maybe composition, but well, that wouldn't be right skill, right time because you like you sort that situation out.
Yes,
Yeah. All right. No mold breakers, and then embodiments. What do we think? That was some good role playing today.
Arcan for embodiment.
I feel like I kind of did the same thing twice in some way. Like I shared on the conversation with Horn of Ink, like with 2 different people.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a thing I wasn't expecting at the start of the session. I don't know.
Yeah, I think between the conversation with Panther and chiming in occasionally. Chiding is the wrong word. Chiming in occasionally on the conversation with Tane. I think we saw more of like Arkan's philosophy than we have previously.
Yeah, and I feel like you put Tane in, like, to some extent, some parts of Tane's characters are built to like point out that Arkan doesn't really have that well thought through a philosophy, and you can pretty much bully him on this.
I thought it was pretty interesting that Tane has brought out the part of Eel that nobody has ever managed to bring out before, and that's her part that actually really enjoys being a monk.
Yeah.
Tane is an interesting character. And
I'm looking forward.
It's going to be a shame when we have to kill him.
I'm looking forward both to killing him and to not killing him, which is like not true with many of the antagonists. Some of the antagonists, I'm like, well, I'm not looking forward to killing them.
He's
Some of
gonna go
them-
down like a sack of bricks.
This guy, like both yes and no. Yeah, he's fucking doomed.
And we'll end the session. Goodbye.
Goodbye.